hand. Nangong Hao marveled at how even his approach could be detected by Shang Juan. Nangong Hao solidified his presence, genuinely impressed. Shang Jun's eyes flickered. This is the technique you acquired from beyond, capable of transforming a mere wisp of consciousness into a tangible form? Indeed, it is the Daming Tong Xinju obtained from the Yingnu Zone, Nangong Hao confessed, knowing that concealment was futile. Shang Juan raised an eyebrow. The Dream Clan's techniques, that race was obliterated during the invasion. How does Yingnu Zone still possess such methods? How did I fail to notice? Nangong Hao shrugged. Even Yingnu Zone was unaware of this technique. Initially, I found it strange, but it seems to be a means of communication among those foreign beings, allowing them to interact without direct contact, thus ensuring their safety. Shang Juan nodded. That makes sense. I shall forego this technique. You may keep your Tianmingong. Are you sure? Nangong Hao was taken aback. Previously, Shang Juan had sought techniques from him on 2 occasions, but interruptions had prevented their exchange. Now, he was voluntarily declining? Shang Juan replied coolly, I understand better than you. You are being watched. They have likely discerned your true capabilities through repeated tests, and you may soon face grave danger. Therefore, it is wise to retain some means of self-preservation. Nangong Hao smiled. Thank you. Additionally, there is one more matter. I have identified an individual of concern. Nangong Hao stated solemnly. You'll come to inform me? Shang Juan was genuinely surprised. I understand the principle of innocent until proven guilty, he remarked. Nang Hao stood. Very well, what do you seek from me? Shang Juan set aside the documents in his hand. Nangong Hao's expression turned grave. I suspect that those beings from the outer realms have never actually entered this domain. What do you mean? Shang Juan furrowed his brow. The summoning path is a power that can invoke beings from the outer realms. Although Nangong Hao did not elaborate. Shang Juan's breath suddenly became chaotic as he grasped the implication. The summoning path could indeed summon divine and demonic forces to battle, but it could also call forth entities from the outer realms. This implied that not many of those beings had genuinely crossed into this world. They merely dispatched some expendables to the Guangyuan heavenly domain. These expendables would promptly seek out individuals who were disheartened or had suffered misfortune, desperately in need of a turnaround. By enticing these lesser characters, they would employ the summoning path to summon the truly powerful beings from the outer realms. These formidable entities did not actually occupy the bodies of the summoners. Rather, they slowly manipulated them into becoming their slaves. Over time, these summoners would be coerced or would willingly serve the beings from the outer realms. Thus, the outer realm entities could invade the Guangyuan heavenly domain without being detected. Shang Juan's face turned ashen. Where is that suspect? It is the youth I previously disciplined, Nangong Hao replied calmly. Very well. I shall take action on this matter. Shang Yun nodded. He possessed a formidable intelligence network and a plethora of hidden pawns. Compared to Nangong Hao, his approach was more stable. Furthermore, Nangong Hao needed to attract attention openly. After their communication, Nangong Hao once again utilized the Meng Tong Xinju to depart. Upon returning to his residence, he found Su Wuhui and others awaiting him. Nangong Hao solidified his form, regarding them. Is there a problem? Su Wuhui and the others exchanged hesitant glances, observing their expressions. Nangong Hao's demeanor grew increasingly serious, as he spoke in a deep voice. What has transpired? They exchanged glances again, clearly deferring to one another. Ultimately, it was Chu Yutan who could no longer hold back, whispering, Master, Nangong Tuo is in trouble. After his duel with you, he returned to the Shuma sect, but fell into an enemy trap on the way, and is now missing. Nangong Hao's gaze sharpened. So soon? The other stood in shock. Su Wuhui incredulously exclaimed, Elder brother, you knew? I did not know, but I suspected he might encounter trouble. I just did not anticipate it would happen so quickly. Nangong Hao replied nonchalantly. Yin Wushuang hesitated. Aren't you worried? If he cannot resolve this minor issue, how can he speak of being born with the third eye? Nangong Hao retorted. Shun Kongwu chuckled. I told you, the madness of the Nangong family is deeply rooted in their bloodline. Sun Tzu scratched his head and asked, Master, are we truly going to ignore this? Certainly not. Nangong Hao's face revealed a cold smile. The Shuma sect bears responsibility in this matter. I will seek trouble with them. Shall we look in the academy? What use is the academy? We must uproot their strongholds. Nangong Hao rose and proceeded to exit. Su Wuhui and Sun Su immediately stepped forward, wishing to accompany him. Shin Kongwu remained still. They needed someone to oversee matters with the Ping family. Yin Wushuang also stayed silent. Her presence was inappropriate, as it could provoke conflict with the Shuma sect. In such a case, the situation would escalate significantly. Gu Yutong, too, could not leave. If she accompanied them, it might lead to an attack on the Shengma sect under the guise of an outer realm entity. The other disciples lacked the qualifications to participate, as their families could not withstand the repercussions from the Shengma sect. Determined to take action, Nangong Hao set off without delay. The Jixia Academy had teleportation arrays that could reach any location within the Guangyuan heavenly domain. Nangong Hao, accompanied by Su Wuhui and Sun Su, boldly utilized the teleportation array to journey to Suxia City, a significant stronghold of the Shengma sect, controlling substantial resources. The spatial teleportation array consisted of dozens of units, frequently used by many. Nangong Hao did not opt for the large array. Instead, he chose a smaller one and purchased all available slots to prevent others from entering. Buzz. The teleportation array activated. A glow flashed beneath the three of them, and they vanished from their original position. If all proceeded as expected, they would arrive at Suxia City, millions of miles away, within a few breaths. However, midway through, a colossal hand suddenly emerged, striking fiercely upon the channel of the spatial teleportation array where Nangong Hao and the others resided. Chapter 295, Arrival at Suxia City, heavily surrounded. The assailant wielded formidable powers. The spatial passage where Nangong Hao and the others were located instantly shattered. A terrifying spatial storm enveloped them, threatening to tear them apart. Fortunately, Nangong Hao had anticipated this. In fact, this was precisely the ambush he had sought. The reason he selected a smaller teleportation array and purchased all the positions was to lure an assault upon himself. After all, times had changed. As an inspector from Jixia Academy, even if he acted arrogantly, he needed a suitable justification to strike at others. Nangong Hao and his companions emerged unscathed from the spatial storm. However, their adversaries were evidently prepared. A grand formation suddenly materialized in the sky, imbued with great power. As soon as Nangong Hao and his companions appeared, they were immediately burdened by immense pressure, as if hundreds of divine mountains were pressing down upon them. Roar! Sun Su let out a furious roar, summoning the six-tusked Elephant King demon to bear the weight of 1,000 mountains. Yet unexpectedly, an eerie power emanated from within the formation, forcibly severing the connection between Sun Su and the six-tusked Elephant King demon. Clearly, these individuals intended to usurp Sun Su's power. So does the Shengma sect. Nangong Hao sneered. Aside from a Shengma sect, who else would possess the means to sever the bond between the summoner and the summoned? Sun Su scoffed. Understand this. It was the six-tusked Elephant King demon that chose me, not the other way around. To be chosen by a divine being is a far sturdier bond than mere summoning. Indeed, upon sensing the attempt to strip away its connection with Sun Su, the six-tusked Elephant King demon roared in fury. A torrent of violent power surged from the outer realm, crashing against the grand formation. The formation shook, forcing several individuals to reveal themselves from their hidden states. Upon seeing these individuals, Nangong Hao pointed, and the space tore asunder, intending to engulf them. However, in the next moment, the space was forcibly closed. The individuals emerged unscathed. Realizing they had been exposed, the group no longer concealed themselves. Leading them was an elder, a divine-level sage of the King realm, who coldly declared, Nangong Hao, struggle is futile. Today, you shall undoubtedly perish. Just you few? Nangong Hao mocked. We know you have several ancient beings within the Longwang Palace. You may try to summon them now. The elder retorted without reservation. Nangong Hao did not summon the Longwang Palace. Instead, he waved his hand, opening a pocket space. It turned out he had previously placed several ancient beings within the pocket space and carried them with him. However, as soon as the ceiling pocket space opened a tiny crack, it instantly sealed shut. The elder laughed maniacally. Did you truly believe we were unprepared? This great formation emulates the legacy of the ancestral land, capable of isolating the spatial path. I shall see how you summon those ancient beings. An icy smile adorned Nangong Hao's face as he stood motionless. In the next moment, the elder, who had been laughing wildly, was suddenly enveloped by a terrifying intent to kill. Startled, he turned around, only to find several of his subordinates had been decapitated. Even in that fleeting moment of turning, he felt a chill at his neck, as if something had grazed by. Subsequently, the elder's head flew high into the air. He beheld Nangong Hao's cold smile, as well as Su Wuhui and Sun Su, along with the crumbling grand formation. Did they truly believe a mere formation could impede me? Nangong Hao extended his hand, capturing the soul of the fleeing elder. The elder's spirit cried out, "What do you intend to do?" I am boom. Without mercy, Nangong Hao extinguished the elder's existence. abruptly severing his words. Su Wuhui approached with confusion. Elder brother, why not allow him to finish? What if he claims he is not from Shengmazong? How will I confront him then? Nan Gonghao hastened towards the direction of Suxia City. This grand formation was sufficient for him to seek trouble with Shengmazong. He required no more detailed or precise evidence, nor did he need to hear the elder's words. Accompanied by a few companions, Nan Gonghao arrived at the nearest city and took the teleportation array to Suxia City. Near Suxia City, there lay a rich vein of Lingyun stone. It is said that Lingyun stones possess unique powers capable of giving birth to sacred spirits or aiding the growth of spirit beings and living creatures. Even the esteemed Shengmazong, one of the 7 supreme powers with boundless resources, held this vein in high regard. Legends say that not only were there 4 divine-level Saint Kings guarding this place, but also a Wu-level Saint King. Such formidable strength ensured that Suxia City was entirely under Shengmazong's control. Even a first-rate force would find it impossible to contend here. Upon arriving at Suxia City, Nan Gonghao was immediately surrounded by the guard station to oversee the formation. Observing the heavily fortified stance, Nan Gonghao remarked indifferently, "Are you attempting to force me to destroy Suxia City?" The soldiers were taken aback, exchanging glances, hesitant to speak further. At that moment, a divine-level Saint King from Shengmazong approached, speaking in a grave tone. "Nan Gonghao, as the inspector of Jixia Academy, why do you come to Suxia City to cause trouble?" Nan Gonghao retorted, "Have I caused trouble?" The divine-level Saint King paused, then angrily responded, "Are you not here because of the incident involving Nan Gongtu? Regardless of my thoughts, have I ever sought conflict?" Nan Gonghao questioned coldly. "Suxia City is of great importance. All suspicious individuals must not be allowed entry." The Shengmazong expert reprimanded. "Is this the rule of Suxia City?" Nan Gonghao pressed. Unbeknownst to him, Suxia City did not belong to Shengmazong. After all, Shengmazong had vital mineral resources in this area. They were hardly in a position to establish a city here, inviting chaos. Indeed, the Shengmazong expert stated coldly, this rule was established by Shengmazong. Even Suxia City must comply. Upon hearing this, Nan Gonghao stepped forward decisively. "I am heading to the City Lord's mansion now. Feel free to try and obstruct me." The Shengmazong expert scoffed. "Do you dare destroy Suxia City? Have you considered that it is precisely because I wish to spare the innocent citizens of Suxia City that I have spared your lives?" Nan Gonghao retorted with a cold smile. The countenance of the Shengmazong members turned grim at his words. They wished to rebuke him, but witnessed Nan Gonghao summon several ancient figures. The terrifying aura they exuded caused many present to retreat, unless a Wu-level Saint King intervened. No one could stop Nan Gonghao now. With their gazes fixed upon him, Nan Gonghao strode toward the City Lord's mansion. To eradicate Shengmazong's foothold completely, he could not rely solely on himself. He required the cooperation of Suxia City, both overtly and covertly. Surely, Suxia City harbored discontent towards Shengmazong's tyranny. As Nan Gonghao left the encirclement, he headed straight for the City Lord's mansion. Yet, just as they were about to enter, they found the mansion heavily guarded. The sentinels at the entrance sternly halted Nan Gonghao, declaring, "Unauthorized personnel are prohibited from entering." Nan Gonghao replied calmly, "Inform them that I am Nan Gonghao, the inspector from Jixia Academy." The sentinel remained unflinching, stating indifferently, "There is an order from above. If you come, you shall not enter." Upon hearing this, Sun Ce became infuriated, ready to advance, but Nan Gonghao restrained him. Meanwhile, the mocking laughter of the Shengmazong expert echoed from behind. "Do you still wish to ally with the City Lord against Shengmazong? Do you not see the opportunity they have given you?" Nan Gonghao clasped his hands behind his back, addressing the City Lord's mansion. "City Lord, have you studied the art of war? I have delved into the 36 stratagems, one of which resembles Suxia City, known as feigning weakness to lure the enemy. Shengmazong possesses invaluable resources here. Logically, they should occupy this place to eliminate future threats. Yet they have refrained from acting. Why is that? The reason is that they do not wish to expend excessive strength. So how will they resolve you? Naturally, they will first feign a lack of hostility, lowering your guard. When you're truly at ease, they will suddenly strike, catching you off guard." Nan Gonghao's words darkened the expression of the Shengmazong expert, who harshly rebuked, "Nonsense. Shengmazong is not a despicable person like you." The sentinels at the City Lord's mansion remained silent, merely gazing coldly at Nan Gonghao. Without retort or further words, Nan Gonghao quietly stood at the entrance of the City Lord's mansion for 2 hours. As a cultivator, he possessed a lifespan of at least several thousand years. Hence he had the patience for such waits. However, the city lord's mansion remained unresponsive. No one emerged, nor did anyone invite Nan Gonghao inside. Sun Tzu was seething with anger. Had it not been for Nan Gonghao's restraint, he would have smashed the city lord's mansion. Su Wuhui was filled with confusion. Why was Nan Gonghao being so courteous to Suxia City? If it were the old him, he would have stormed in and forced the city lord to cooperate. Not waiting for anyone, Nan Gonghao turned and departed without frustration. Sun Tzu, astonished to see him leave, quickly caught up. Master, are we leaving just like this? Indeed, Nan Gonghao replied coolly. Su Wuhui, even more perplexed, asked, Elder brother, with the three of us, wouldn't it be easy to storm in? During this time, it is better to find a place to stay, Nan Gonghao stated calmly. As he suggested, Nan Gonghao found the most luxurious residence in Suxia City and, under the watchful eyes of many, even arranged for servants to attend to him. The display seemed as if he intended to reside there permanently. Naturally, the Shengmazong experts mocked him relentlessly, deeming him utterly foolish. Suxia City was a crucial stronghold for Shengmazong, not only guarded by numerous divine-level Saint Kings, but also one Wu-level Saint King. No one, not even a first-rate force, would dare to resist in such circumstances. How did he intend to dismantle this stronghold? The derisive comments were not only exchanged among the Shengmazong members, but also among many uninvolved parties within Suxia City. After all, this place was bustling with activity, attracting many outsiders for trade. In such circumstances, many were aware of Nan Gonghao's residence and the failed attempt at cooperation. Many began to question whether Nan Gonghao truly possessed the overwhelming strength as rumored. If he were indeed so powerful, why was he behaving so timidly, avoiding conflict? Residing in Suxia City, what would that accomplish? Meanwhile, within the city lord's mansion, the city lord of Suxia City, Ban Mushing, calmly sipped tea in his study, accompanied by several advisors and disciples. A strategist wearing a red hat spoke solemnly. City lord, we absolutely cannot respond to this matter. Otherwise, it will undoubtedly provoke the displeasure of Shengmazong. Beside him, a white-browed strategist scoffed. Nan Gonghao has always been arrogant, now that he has not achieved his desired outcome. What if he seeks trouble? He dares to provoke us, while the Shengma sect lurks menacingly. If he chooses to create trouble, the Shengma sect will have ample justification to deal with him, scoffed the red-hatted strategist. However, the white-browed strategist shook his head in dissent. Nonsense. The Shengma sect would relish our misfortune. If Nan Gonghao seeks confrontation, they would only be elated and would never attempt to hinder him. Are you implying that we should oppose the Shengma sect? Do you believe we stand a chance against them? The red-hatted cultivator questioned. It is not necessarily about confrontation, but if we can establish a connection with Nan Gonghao and the Jixia Academy, we would undoubtedly enhance our safety. The white-browed strategist quickly clarified. He is merely a patrol envoy. Can he truly represent the Jixia Academy? Stop with the absurdity. The red-hatted strategist retorted disdainfully. This statement left the white-browed strategist momentarily speechless. Yet, he was reluctant to concede defeat. After a brief hesitation, he stiffly remarked, I sense that the Jixia Academy seems to hold Nan Gonghao in high regard, allowing him to create chaos without expelling him. And what good does that do? The red-hatted strategist scoffed. You. The white-browed strategist gritted his teeth, yearning to argue further. However, Ban Mushing interjected sternly. Enough. I summoned you to analyze the situation, not to squabble. The white-browed strategist shot a fierce glare at the red-hatted strategist before falling silent. The red-hatted strategist, however, asserted, City Lord, you must heed my advice. We must not entangle ourselves with Nan Gonghao in any manner. Otherwise, even if the Shengma sect has no desire to act against us, they will be compelled to do so. Following the altercation between the two, the other strategists leaned more towards believing the red-hatted strategist. They too felt it prudent to limit contact with Nan Gonghao, expressing their agreement. The white-browed strategist, witnessing the lack of support, bore an increasingly grim countenance. The red-hatted strategist, however, stood tall and proud. Ban Musheng, observing the assembly, fell into contemplation. Truth be told, he too was averse to collaborating with Nan Gonghao. He feared offending the Shengma sect and held skepticism towards Nan Gonghao. Moreover, with the strategist opposing any alliance and the red-hatted strategist's influence, Ban Musheng was acutely aware that the latter had secretly colluded with the Shengma sect. Yet, he chose not to expose this truth. After a moment of hesitation, Ban Musheng resolved, I shall not collaborate with Nan Gonghao. The red-hatted strategist's expression brightened. The other strategists also breathed a sigh of relief. Upon hearing this, the The white-browed strategist opened his mouth, seemingly ready to protest. However, he seemed to recall something, sighed deeply, and closed his mouth. Enough. Everyone, leave me for a while. Ban Mushing waved his hand, ushering everyone out. Chapter 297. The Unavoidable Alliance. The multitude of strategists departed from the City Lord study. However, as the white-browed strategist exited, he heard Ban Mushing's voice relay. Restrain the others. Do not cooperate with Nan Gonghao, and avoid provoking him. The white-browed strategist was taken aback, then subtly nodded. He too felt a sense of relief. Truth be told, Nan Gonghao's presence was exceedingly peculiar. Although the white-browed strategist recognized the significant risks of collaboration, he was still reluctant to offend him. In the ensuing days, the residents of Suxia City focused their attention on Nan Gonghao. He, however, made no significant moves, merely visiting the city lord's mansion each morning. Yet, on every occasion, he was denied entry. The guards at the city lord's mansion, though indifferent, did not speak harshly. They merely obstructed Nan Gonghao and firmly stated that the city lord was unwilling to meet him. Nan Gonghao did not force his way in. Instead, he stood outside, vocally analyzing the advantages and disadvantages of the Shengma sect's presence. Ironically, he employed the 36 stratagems of military strategy. Each tactic he articulated painted a vivid portrayal of the threats posed by the Shengma sect. This infuriated the members of the Shengma sect, who retaliated by further harassing Nan Gonghao. Each time he departed from the city lord's mansion after his analysis, they would mock him. Sometimes they derided him for his arrogance, other times for his presumptuousness, and occasionally for his ineffectiveness. Even the people of Suxia City found amusement in the spectacle, believing that Nan Gonghao's reputation was entirely exaggerated. How could he be as formidable and invincible as the legends portrayed? Even the city lord of Suxia City looked down upon him. Yet he continued to visit frequently. Was that not beneath him? As time passed, Nan Gonghao's reputation plummeted, and he became the subject of ridicule wherever he went. Sun Tzu and Su Wuhui felt increasingly uncomfortable, having been ridiculed and engaged in several altercations. Yet, Nan Gonghao remained unfazed. Even Ban Mushing and the strategists found themselves perplexed. What was Nan Gonghao truly scheming? Just as everyone was engulfed in confusion, on the 30th day, Nan Gonghao suddenly did not appear. He neither visited the city lord's mansion nor left his rented accommodations. Instead, he began to recruit troops and stockpile various resources, all intended for battle. Coincidentally, an auction was held in Suxia City, featuring numerous precious healing elixirs. Nan Gonghao purchased them all, displaying an extravagant wealth. This series of events instilled a sense of unease in the outside world. After the auction concluded, the white-browed strategist residing in the city lord's mansion directly barged into Ban Mushing's study, his expression grim. "City lord, we have been played." Ban Mushing's face turned ashen. "I have realized. Nan Gonghao is clearly trying to corner me." Conveniently, a favored concubine of Ban Mushing's was attending to them. Observing their fearful demeanor, she inquired curiously, "My lord, Mr. Bai Mei, what are you discussing?" Ban Mushing tiredly pinched the bridge of his nose and forced a smile. Nan Gonghao is indeed exceptionally cunning. He first feigned weakness, visiting daily for an entire month to convey his sincerity. Once everyone knew he was resolute in seeking cooperation, he abruptly ceased his visits. "What do you think is the most likely reason?" The concubine pondered, her expression turning somber. "Nan Gonghao wishes to collaborate with you, yet after 30 days of visits, he suddenly stops. Could it lead outsiders to believe that you agreed to cooperate with him, and that is why he no longer comes?" Ban Mushing sighed. "That is just one possibility. If his sudden absence merely raises suspicions about our collaboration, his subsequent recruitment of troops and gathering of resources confirms that he is preparing for an offensive. The most infuriating part is that he publicly purchased so many healing elixirs at the auction. What would necessitate injury? Naturally, it would be combat. Why engage in battle? To assault the stronghold of the Shengma sect." The concubine's face turned pale. "This fellow is exceedingly calculating. Perhaps his actions will convince others that we have indeed begun collaborating." The white-browed strategist sighed deeply. "City Lord, have you considered that the auction might have been orchestrated by Nan Gonghao himself? He intentionally presented highly attractive resources for auction. Firstly, to gauge the economic circumstances of the local cultivators as they vied to purchase. Secondly, by acquiring a large quantity of healing elixirs, he raises suspicions about his intentions." Ban Mushing clenched his fists, veins protruding from his forehead. "Nan Gonghao, what a devious scheme." The concubine gritted her teeth. "This Nan Gonghao has been plotting against us from the very beginning, hasn't he? But perhaps the Shengma sect will not believe them? Can we not seek a declaration from the Shengma sect, affirming that we will not cooperate with Nangonghao? Ban Musheng and the white-browed strategist exchanged glances, and neither spoke. The concubine looked at them in confusion. Soon, a realization dawned upon her, and she admired them even more. You both have indeed recognized Nangonghao's remarkable intellect, which is why you wish to collaborate with him, correct? So, does this mean Nangonghao has even anticipated your intentions, compelling you to engage in cooperation with him, whether willingly or unwillingly? Ban Musheng reflected. This is precisely what I admire about Nangonghao. He leaves me no choice but to ally with him. Bami Musher stated. One point that remains to be clarified is what Nangonghao has been up to this past month. Ban Musheng nodded slightly, but felt a twinge of thirst. He lifted the tea that his favored concubine had poured moments earlier and drank it all in one go. However, upon finishing the tea, he discovered a line of writing at the bottom of the cup. The favored concubine is a member of the Shengmo sect, the city's Southern Cherry Blossom Rouge. Staring at these words, Ban Musheng was momentarily taken aback, and cold sweat began to bead on his forehead. Meanwhile, his favored concubine was lost in thought, and Bai Mei Maosher was furrowing his brow in contemplation. Neither of them noticed Ban Musheng's unease. Wiping the cold sweat from his brow, Ban Musheng used his spiritual power to erase the inscription from the cup and suddenly chuckled. Yin Yin, why are your lips so red? Have you been using rouge? The favored concubine jolted awake at his words, her expression turning to one of confusion. Husband, why do you suddenly bring this up? Oh, it's nothing. I merely feel a sense of indebtedness towards you, especially since our days of peace are numbered. I plan to carve out some time to accompany you for a while. Ban Musheng replied with a smile. The favored concubine looked pleasantly surprised. Really? You must keep your word. Otherwise, I won't let you touch me for a month. Bai Mei Maosher regarded the two with curiosity, fully aware that the city lord was not one to be entangled in romantic affairs. So why was he suddenly discussing this? Ban Musheng, still smiling, continued. I've heard you frequently visit a rouge shop in the southern part of the city. Is it that time again? How about I take some people to accompany you? Upon hearing this, the favored concubine's playful demeanor instantly stiffened, and her eyes filled with terror. Chapter 298, Direct Assault, Draining the Mind by Mei Maosher sensed something amiss and quietly moved to block the only exit at the study door. Ban Musheng slowly rose, gazing at the increasingly flustered favored concubine. I'm speaking to you. Why are you silent? The favored concubine realized she had been seen through. She stumbled back a few steps, attempting to plead for mercy. However, Ban Musheng did not grant her the opportunity, his voice cold and commanding. It seems you have admitted it. I was coerced, the favored concubine stammered, collapsing to the ground in tears, confessing her wrongdoings. Ban Musheng's face turned ashen, veins bulging as he shouted, Kill her, then go and wipe out every rouge shop in the southern city. Bai Mei Maosher's expression tightened, my lord. If you proceed this way, it will mean a complete rupture with the Shengmo sect. And what of it? Ban Musheng's tone was frigid. Nangonghao is right. If we do not act now, we will have no opportunity left. Bai Mei Maosher sighed and could only acquiesce. Very well, I shall take care of it. Ban Musheng sat behind the desk, watching as the favored concubine was dragged out, screaming, to be executed publicly in the city square. Subsequently, the rouge shop in the southern city was thoroughly razed, not a single servant left alive. This series of actions alerted many astute individuals within the city to the growing unrest. Meanwhile, Nangonghao, staying in his residence, calmly gazed at the sky. It is time to take action. Beside him, Sun Tzu was gradually retracting his spiritual energy, intrigued. Are we going to strike at the Shengmo sect? Yes, let us go, Nangonghao replied, rising and departing without hesitation. Sun Tzu and Su Wuhui exchanged puzzled glances but soon followed suit. As the three exited the courtyard, Nangonghao swiftly summoned over a dozen light spears, vanishing from sight. Almost immediately, distant screams echoed. Individuals fell from the shadows, bloodied. These are spies sent by various factions to monitor Nangonghao, all of whom met their demise on the spot. With these foes dispatched, Nangonghao made a beeline for the mines being exploited by the Shengmo sect nearby. He moved with remarkable speed, arriving just outside the mine within mere breaths. The members of the Shengmo sect were caught off guard. Nangonghao reached out to summon a shower of meteors, crashing down towards the ground. The countless falling stars left the many powerful members of the Shengmo sect utterly astonished. Indeed, over a dozen divine-level Saint Kings ascended into the sky. Although the Shengmo sect claimed to disregard Nangonghao, they had nonetheless dispatched numerous reinforcements. Three figures who had yet to reach the Saint King level were no match for such a multitude of divine-level Saint Kings. Nan Gonghao directly summoned ancient beings to descend. However, even these ancient ones numbered only 8 and, amidst the onslaught, could not attend to Nan Gonghao and his companions. 3 divine-level Saint Kings encircled them, while below, another 10 or so Winda-level Saint Kings and over 20 Saint Kings soared into the air. Nan Gonghao and his companions found themselves completely surrounded. The leader among the Sheng Mo sect's forces was none other than the individual who had previously mocked Nan Gonghao in the city. He now looked down at Nan Gonghao with disdain. What is this? Have you finally realized that Su Xia City will not aid you, and thus you are prepared to fight desperately? But alas, with so many divine-level Saint Kings here, what can you do? Nan Gonghao regarded the Sheng Mo sect's leader calmly. How do you know that Su Xia City will not come to assist? The Sheng Mo sect leader sneered. Let them come. We would be more than happy for them to deliver themselves to their doom. That way, we can openly swallow Su Xia City. As soon as the words left his lips, a dark mass of figures suddenly appeared around them. These individuals swiftly approached, exuding an overwhelming killing intent that bore down like a mountain. The combatants, as well as those surrounding Nan Gonghao, were all filled with uncertainty. The Sheng Mo sect's mocking figures were now bewildered. Just then, from deep within the Sheng Mo sect's stronghold, a vast wave of energy surged forth. It was released by a Wu-level Saint King, erecting a barrier against the mounting pressure. It's our ancestor, the members of the Sheng Mo sect exclaimed in delight. But at that moment, another wave of energy emanated from the distance. To their astonishment, there was yet another Wu-level Saint King present. This revelation left the Sheng Mo sect's members in a state of disarray. Even their own Wu-level Saint King could not help but step forward, asking gravely, "Who are you? And why do you oppose the Sheng Mo sect?" From afar, an ancient figure approached, speaking with indifference. Someone has paid a hefty price for your life. Ha ha! Is it Su Xia City? What could they possibly offer that is of such value? The Sheng Mo sect's Wu-level Saint King scoffed. Yet, no one answered. They merely charged forward in silence. Leading the charge were none other than Ban Musheng and his entourage of advisors. The Sheng Mo sect had been stationed here for over a millennium, long accustomed to viewing Su Xia City as weak and ineffectual. They had even considered that, even with only a small contingent stationed here, Su Xia City would not dare oppose them. However, to their astonishment, the Sheng Mo sect discovered that Su Xia City possessed such formidable troops. As the assailants clashed with the Sheng Mo sect's stationed disciples, the outcome was surprisingly unfavorable for the latter. Simultaneously, Su Xia City had somehow summoned 3 divine-level Saint Kings, along with 7 or 8 Winda-level Saint Kings, and several other saints. The Sheng Mo sect's elite forces found themselves thoroughly entangled. As the battle commenced, Su Xia City swiftly gained the upper hand. The members of the Sheng Mo sect were filled with a mix of astonishment and fury, yet they remained unperturbed. The Sheng Mo sect had too many strongholds, and their numbers were plentiful. As long as they sent out a distress signal, reinforcements would arrive. Once the Sheng Mo sect powerful members showed up, the advantages gained by Su Xia City would amount to nothing. This was the reason why Su Xia City, despite having amassed power over many years, had always refrained from taking action. The threat posed by the Sheng Mo sect's stronghold was not daunting. What was truly frightening was the formidable existence of the Sheng Mo sect itself. At this moment, the members of the Sheng Mo sect called upon their demons to descend, fighting valiantly to hold their ground. Ban Musheng found Nan Gonghao and asked, "How long until this battle concludes?" "Soon. Just help me hold them off." Nan Gonghao replied as he charged towards the direction of the mines. He aimed to drain the mine completely. The reason the Sheng Mo sect had established a stronghold here was due to the mine. Thus, eliminating the individuals at the stronghold would be futile. What truly mattered was how to obliterate this stronghold. Is it not true that this is quite beneficial for the Holy Spirit? Nan Gonghao directly cast the Yu Huang Yin into the mine, allowing it to absorb the energy within. The Holy Spirit within the Yu Huang Yin rejoiced and shrieked, utilizing the myriad divine patterns on its body to fervently draw upon the mine's power. Meanwhile, Nan Gonghao hovered above the mine, coldly watching the approaching adversaries. With the elite forces of the Sheng Mo sect entangled, the remaining individuals might indeed find it challenging to contend with Nan Gonghao. Chapter 299, Devouring the Divine-Level Saint King. Summoning chaos, the absorption rate of the Yu Huang Yin was astonishingly rapid, and its own power surged exponentially. However, The members of the Shang Mo sect were unwilling to witness this scene unfold. A formidable warrior from the Shang Mo sect, who had once mocked Nan Gonghao multiple times, charged forward. As a divine-level Saint King, his strength was formidable. Ban Mushang attempted to call for assistance, but Nan Gonghao outright refused and charged into battle. The time-space bell emerged, vibrating with a thunderous sound, shattering the very heavens and earth. In that instant, countless black holes materialized in the space surrounding them, enveloping Nan Gonghao's opponent. Humph, they say your combat prowess is exceptional. Today, I shall see if you truly possess the strength of a divine-level Saint King. Should you perish, remember, it is I, Yu Jingshan, who has slain you. The powerful adversary from the Shang Mo sect surged forward, accompanied by a colossal demon. This demon possessed a serpentine body adorned with 9 dragon heads. The 9 dragon heads writhed menacingly in the air, radiating an aura of ferocity. As Yu Jingshan approached, 2 of the dragon heads unleashed torrents of flames and venom. Nan Gonghao waved his hand, summoning black holes in space to block Yu Jingshan's advance. Divine Domain. Yu Jingshan activated his Divine Domain. In an instant, all powers of the Great Tao became ineffective. This was the tyrannical might of a divine-level Saint King, capable of nullifying the very rules of heaven and earth. Within the Divine Domain, only the original body could remain invincible. Nan Gonghao retreated repeatedly and retrieved the Dragon Emperor Palace, intending to ensnare Yu Jingshan within. Yet Yu Jingshan scoffed, "Is possessing a treasure truly remarkable? Today, I shall make you aware of the real disparity in strength, one that no artifact can bridge." The Divine Domain expanded, transforming into an overwhelming net, ensnaring both Nan Gonghao and Yu Jingshan within. Unlike the restrained Nan Gonghao, Yu Jingshan commanded the powers of heaven and earth to crush him, intending to annihilate Nan Gonghao. Replicating the Great Tao. How laughable! Yu Jingshan sneered. The extent of his divine domain was such that Nan Gonghao had no chance of escape. Moreover, even external attacks would be countered by the power of the divine domain. Unless one was another divine-level Saint King of the same realm, Nan Gonghao would find it impossible to resolve the threat posed by Yu Jingshan. Just as Yu Jingshan searched outside, eager to discern from where Nan Gonghao might emerge, he was startled to see Nan Gonghao manifest behind him, enveloped in a radiant azure light, a towering figure materializing. God-slaying, demon-destruction fist. Yu Jingshan was instantly taken aback. He could not fathom how Nan Gonghao had suddenly revived and appeared behind him. Had he truly mastered the cycle of the Great Tao? That seemed implausible. According to the information he had gathered, Nan Gonghao's mastery of the cycle of the Great Tao was incomplete, at best. It could only contend with ordinary saints, and came with a significant cost. How had he revived? However, these thoughts were fleeting. Yu Jingshan had no time to ponder as he was confronted with Nan Gonghao's terrifying fist, which was devoid of any influence from the Great Tao, yet bore unparalleled might. How is this possible? Without the influence of the Great Tao, yet possessing the power to obliterate all forms of it. What was this? Yu Jingshan frantically summoned all his strength, condensing the forces of heaven and earth into a torrent to suppress Nan Gonghao. Yet, behind Nan Gonghao, a chaotic azure lotus emerged. The lotus enveloped Yu Jingshan, absorbing all his attacks without inflicting any harm. Simultaneously, Nan Gonghao's fist ruthlessly struck Yu Jingshan. Yu Jingshan cried out in agony, blood spewing forth as he was sent flying. Onlookers in the distance were utterly astonished. Could it be that Nan Gonghao had actually struck down a divine-level Saint King? As Yu Jingshan was sent reeling, his divine domain dissipated, allowing Nan Gonghao to break free from his grasp. The Dragon Emperor Palace expanded exponentially, overshadowing Yu Jingshan. No, save me. Yu Jingshan realized that once ensnared within the Dragon Emperor Palace, his fate would no longer be his own. But the battle raged on in the distance. Who could come to his aid? Amidst his cries for mercy, Yu Jingshan was promptly absorbed into the Dragon Emperor Palace. Nan Gonghao swiftly drained the spiritual energy from within the Dragon Emperor Palace while entering it himself. The divine domain, is it? Treasures are of no consequence, are they? Invincibility, is it? Nan Gonghao chuckled coldly as he advanced, the powers of the Great Tao reverberating around him. The forces of time-space and causality spiraled above, striking towards Yu Jingshan. Yu Jingshan, of course, fought desperately, launching relentless assaults. Yet within the Dragon Emperor Palace, Nan Gonghao was free to wield the chaotic azure lotus without restraint. Every attack from Yu Jingshan was absorbed, while Nan Gonghao's strikes, propelled by the forces of time-space, appeared mysteriously around Yu Jingshan's body. Initially, Yu Jingshan could withstand the blows due to his high realm. However, he soon realized that, even as a divine-level Saint King, he could not match the abundance of the great Dao powers that Nan Gonghao commanded. Even more tragically, Nan Gonghao began to refine him within the furnace of heaven and earth. Yu Jingshan was unable to resist, as the power of the chaotic azure lotus assisted in the process. With its inherent ability to absorb all, refining Yu Jingshan was an effortless endeavor. Before long, Yu Jingshan screamed in despair, completely refined. The chaotic azure lotus absorbed his strength, instantly completing the summoning Great Dao. Nan Gonghao, sensing opportunity, contemplated what he might summon. With this thought, Nan Gonghao felt a surge of excitement and immediately activated the summoning Great Dao. With the assistance of the powers of the Great Dao, Nan Gonghao's soul ventured into the ethereal chaos. Within this realm, countless gods and demons existed. These beings were said to be the chaotic demons. Some had appeared in many realms, while others had not. Generally speaking, each individual could summon only one type of demonic power. However, exceptional individuals might summon multiple. Nan Gonghao was curious about what kind of demon he could summon. As his soul entered the chaos, he sensed formidable energies. He began to attempt communication. Oddly enough, when those demonic powers first sensed him, they surged towards him in excitement, eager to establish contact. Yet, upon making contact with Nan Gonghao, they all fled in panic. Even the wills of some demons radiated anger and fear. Nan Gonghao found this perplexing, but quickly deduced that it must be the power of the Tian Suo chain on him that deterred them from descending. After all, who would wish to follow someone destined for obscurity? After attempting to connect with dozens of demons and confirming their rejection, he was about to give up when a faint will reached him. I am Chaos. I can form a contract with you. Chaos? Nan Gonghao suddenly recalled the ancient four fiends. In ancient lore, there were four notorious beasts, unmatched in the realm of gods and demons, incredibly powerful. They were Chaos, Qiongqi, Taowu, and Taodai. Among them, Chaos was the mightiest. He never anticipated that such a being would now appear so weakened and seek to form a contract with him. What had it endured? Chapter 300, Strengthening Once More. Fearless before the divine-level Saint King, although the fierce beast Chaos seemed to have suffered some unspeakable calamity, its abilities were undeniably formidable. Once restored, it would undoubtedly be an unparalleled force. Without hesitation, Nan Gonghao accepted the will of the fierce beast Chaos, and they formed a contract. The power of Chaos surged from beyond, traversing the Dragon Emperor Palace and entering Nan Gonghao's body. As the two parties began to merge, Nan Gonghao felt the chaotic forces engulfing his soul and body. Lacking guidance from elders, he was unaware of a crucial fact. While summoning divine or demonic wills from beyond realms, stronger entities may appear more desirable, yet the greater the power, the more caution one must exercise. This is because any divine or demonic will, upon entering a host's body, will immediately attempt to rebel against the master. If the will manages to consume its summoner, it signifies their resurrection through the host's body. Under the temptation of rebirth, none can withstand the allure. Countless beings perished in the Guangyuan heavenly domain during their first summoning of divine wills. Even in esteemed places like the Holy Demon Sect, over 10,000 lives are lost annually, including many top-tier prodigies. After all, the more gifted an individual, the more they yearn to summon the most powerful divinities. Once these entities attain strength, they easily succeed in their rebellion. As the foremost of the four ancient beasts, Chongdao is naturally formidable. Although in a weakened state, even an ordinary Saint King would hesitate to engage. However, upon sensing Chongdao's intentions, Nan Gonghao remained unfazed. His fierce and indomitable will suppressed Chongdao's intentions decisively, causing a mournful cry to escape the chaotic entity. For Chongdao, whose state is defined by chaos, physical strength is of little consequence. Even if one were an emperor, lacking willpower as resolute as Chongdao's, they could face consumption. Chongdao initially regarded Nan Gonghao as an easy target, yet to its surprise, Nan Gonghao was unprecedentedly steadfast, and his soul remarkably powerful. After all, Nan Gonghao had cultivated the Tianming Gong, endowing his soul with extraordinary strength. Previously, in battles with others, his soul seemed to play a minimal role, leading him to question the effectiveness of Tianming Gong. Yet now, as Chongdao's will wreaked havoc, Nan Gonghao utilized his soul's power to subdue it prompting Chong Dao to plead in terror. No, no, spare me. I am willing to grant you power. What power can you offer with your meager remaining will? Nang Gonghao replied indifferently. I can cultivate. If you provide me with sufficient resources, I can recover and assist you in growing. Chong Dao's will cried out in desperation. Nang Gonghao scoffed, too disinterested to respond. Having acquired Chong Dao's memories, could he not cultivate using his methods? Realizing this, Chong Dao shouted urgently. I have many brothers, all immensely powerful. If you consume me, they will not spare you. Nang Gonghao dismissed Chong Dao's threats with indifference. If the foremost of the 4 fierce beasts had fallen to such a state, how formidable could the other 3 be? Nang Gonghao swiftly consumed Chong Dao's will, acquiring its entire memory. However, before he could thoroughly investigate, he felt a significant enhancement to his soul. The Tianming Gong comprises 108 layers. The Tiangui Zuns had reached the 80th layer, while Nang Gonghao had recently attained the 70th layer. Now, having absorbed Chong Dao, he directly ascended to the 80th layer. His soul power surged to the brink of overflowing. Now capable of existing as an independent entity, Nang Gonghao felt confident that he could effortlessly seize control of other beings without harm. Following this event, he discovered a beneficial cultivation method for Tianming Gong, absorbing divine and demonic wills. However, time was of the essence as the battle outside raged on. Emerging from the Long Huang Palace, Nang Gonghao surveyed the battlefield. The conflict between the 2 sides remained intense. Naturally, many were also focused on the Long Huang Palace, eager to discern whether Nang Gonghao or Yo Jingshan would emerge victorious. With Nang Gonghao's appearance, the outcome became evident. The numerous powerful figures from the Holy Demon sect narrowed their eyes in fear. They recognized Nang Gonghao's strength, but were astonished by his ability to contend against a divine-level Saint King. Meanwhile, the crowd from Suxia City felt their morale surge, renewing their assault. The fierce battle continued, with the Yu Huang persistently absorbing the mineral veins. During this time, Nang Gonghao simultaneously dealt with distant assailants while studying Chong Dao's memories. As one of the ancient 4 beasts, Chong Dao possessed a wealth of memories, albeit chaotic. This is one of the drawbacks of consuming souls. One must fully experience the life of the other. If the individual is ordinary, their decades-long life may be manageable. However, for cultivators with memories spanning millennia, it equates to experiencing another's entire existence, easily leading to mental turmoil. Fortunately, Tianming Gong offered assistance. Nang Gonghao swiftly sifted through Chong Dao's memories, discarding the useless fragments. What remained were the cultivation techniques of Chong Dao and several pivotal experiences. For the moment, he set aside those experiences, focusing on studying Chong Dao's techniques and abilities. This ferocious beast, named Chong Dao, was intrinsically a formless chaos, akin to the Dameng Tongxin Ju, which allows the body to transform into an intangible force, undetectable yet capable of assimilating and consuming all. However, the power of chaos surpassed that of the Dameng Tongxin Ju. It did not require entering a state of slumber, allowing the body to shift seamlessly between chaotic and normal states. Even more terrifying was the fact that Chong Dao's power could negate divine domains. This meant that if Nang Gonghao allowed his body to evolve into a chaotic state, he could evade the constraints of divine domains. Nang Hao Zezoi. This was far superior to the Dameng Tongxin Ju. After all, employing the Dameng Tongxin Ju necessitated sleep. Yet in the midst of battle, with the battlefield shifting rapidly, which enemy would permit him the luxury of slumber? As Nang Gonghao pondered, he suddenly sensed a terrifying force descending from the heavens. Be careful. Ban Muxing's urgent voice echoed from afar. Nang Gonghao felt a familiar binding force. This was the power of a divine domain. It was the divine-level Saint King engaged in battle with Ban Muxing, who, willing to endure a fatal strike, broke free from Ban Muxing's control and charged recklessly forward. Although this divine-level Saint King was severely wounded, he remained a divine being. His divine domain's power shackled Nang Gonghao from utilizing any grand force, culminating in a self-detonation. Ban Muxing, initially intent on sacrificing everything to rescue, was struck with despair upon witnessing his opponent's self-detonation. It was over. Nang Gonghao was doomed. After all, this was the self-detonation of a divine-level Saint King. Nang Gonghao could not possibly withstand it. Ban Muxing had envisioned dealing with a holy demon sect, uniting with Suxia City, and following Nang Gonghao to the Jixia Academy. Now, with Nang Gonghao surely obliterated, everything was lost. Chapter 301. Holy demon sect retreat? No, reinforcements arrive. No one believed Nangong how would survive. For this was the self-detonation of a divine-level Saint King. It differed from mere attacks. Just as the assault of a forbidden device is fearsome, Nangong Hao's manipulation of a forbidden device to self-detonate could severely injure a terrifying existence like Ziguan Ho, allowing for escape, even single-handedly repelling the combined might of 7 supreme beings. In contrast, the self-detonation of a divine-level Saint King, though not on par with forbidden devices, was beyond the resilience of an ordinary saint. Even if Nangong Hao had a clone, it would be of no use. Everyone knew that Nangong Hao's clones were typically kept nearby, hidden within some pocket space. Although the self-detonating powerhouse could control the range, the fallout would still extend for miles. Within that radius, the space would collapse. No amount of pocket space could withstand it. Consequently, both the Holy Demon Sect and Suxia City suffered significant losses, with numerous beings perishing, including several saints, and even a couple of Dao-level Saint Kings severely injured due to their inability to evade. This was still in the case where they were at the edges of the radiation. One can only imagine the harrowing impact Nangong Hao faced at the epicenter. Although the members of the Xingma sect were infuriated by the loss of a divine-level Saint King, they were convinced that Nangong Hao was doomed. A formidable warrior from the Xingma sect unleashed a psychological tactic, bellowing, "Ban Mushing, what are you hesitating for? Surrender at once and plead for mercy. And perhaps the Xingma sect will spare your family and the city of Suxia." Other warriors from the Xingma sect echoed his cries, urging the surrender of Suxia City. "You have no hope left. Cease all resistance. Nangong Hao is dead. There is no need to continue fighting. Lay down your weapons and surrender to avoid death." The cacophony of shouts threw the people of Suxia City into disarray. Initially holding the upper hand, their uncertainty swiftly eroded their advantage. Ban Mushing clenched his teeth in frustration. Realizing he had been too complacent, they had likely discerned his intentions and were pressuring him to capitulate in this manner. The strategist Bai Mei rushed over, his expression grim. "My lord, what shall we do? Our escape route has been cut off." Ban Musheng, his teeth gritted, found himself unable to make any decisive choice. Just as they were all in a quandary, a series of anguished screams suddenly pierced the gradually quieting battlefield. 2 divine-level Saint Kings from the Xingma sect had been ambushed and severely injured. The battlefield fell into a state of bewilderment. In the next moment, Nangong Hao appeared high above, coldly declaring, "Do you think mere self-detonation can claim my life?" Upon seeing Nangong Hao, everyone was struck with disbelief. How could he still be alive? Could a divine-level Saint King not kill him? Or had he not brought his clone with him, but left it elsewhere? Yet, some powerful beings instinctively sensed something was amiss. Nangong Hao had grown stronger. The previous version of him would not have been able to severely injure 2 divine-level Saint Kings. Ban Musheng, realizing this, shouted with exhilaration, "The Xingma sect is not so benevolent. They will not spare us. Soldiers, continue the assault." After this rallying cry, Ban Musheng charged towards the injured divine-level Saint King. Although his soldiers hesitated, most gritted their teeth and followed him into battle, with their leader's determination. Even those who were reluctant had no choice but to engage in combat. The once quiet battlefield erupted into chaos once more. Nangong Hao did not join the fray. Instead, he returned to hover above the mine, continuing his vigilant watch. He transformed into a state of chaos, rendering himself virtually imperceptible. Even divine-level Saint Kings using their divine realms could not capture him. In this state, Nangong Hao could extend his presence across a 1,000-mile radius. With but a thought, he could manifest in any location. It was in this manner that he had just struck down that divine-level Saint King. Meanwhile, sensing Nangong Hao's absence, 3 question-level Saint Kings from the Xingma sect cautiously approached, bolstered by the summoned demonic will they commanded. In the blink of an eye, Nangong Hao split into 3 figures, appearing behind them. Indeed, the power of chaos allowed him to divide his form into multiple manifestations. Although this fragmentation diminished his strength proportionally, it sufficed to confront 3 question-level Saint Kings. The pathways of time, space, and holy light appeared behind the 3 Nangong Haos. The explosive force descended with ferocity. The 3 question-level Saint Kings had no time to resist before they were annihilated, their screams echoing through the air. Upon the death of the summoner, the summoned demonic would be forcibly severed and expelled from this world. However, Nangong Hao would not allow their escape. He directly harnessed the Tianming technique to forge a spiritual barrier, imprisoning the 3 demonic wills and commencing their refinement. The three demonic wills, initially believing they were to be resummoned, were met instead with a strange and terrifying power. They screamed in fury, struggling in vain, only to gradually dissipate. Ultimately, their strength was entirely absorbed by Nangong Hao. The three demonic wills were Fei, Zhu Yin, and Ying Zhao. Fei was a ferocious demon resembling a white-headed bull, leaving desiccated waters and drought in its wake. Zhu Yin was also a malevolent spirit, capable of inciting war. Ying Zhao, on the other hand, was a divine beast of auspicious omen, originally tasked with guarding a garden for a powerful deity. Upon absorbing these three demonic entities, Nangong Hao acquired three new abilities. Yet, he felt a pang of regret. Had Yu Jingshan not allowed his demonic will to escape when he perished, it would have been a great boon. The serpent with 9 dragon heads appeared formidable indeed. With a sigh, Nangong Hao resumed his watch over the area, transforming into chaos once more. The war raged on. Unexpectedly, he discovered that the power of the war pathway granted by Zhu Yin could bolster the strength of his own soldiers. The people of Suxia City felt the surge of power provided by Nangong Hao, invigorating their spirits and intensifying their ferocity. In this context, the already weakened warriors of the Shengma sect found it increasingly difficult to hold their ground. As time passed, the number of Shengma sect disciples dwindled. 2 Wu-level Saint Kings continued their battle high above, their fierce energies shaking the heavens and earth, sending chills through those below. Ultimately, amid the cacophony of screams, the disciples of the Shengma sect could no longer endure and began to scatter in retreat. The people of Suxia City, seeing this, grew even more exhilarated as they pursued relentlessly. Yet, Nangong Hao frowned and approached Ban Musheng, advising, "Do not pursue a cornered enemy. Return swiftly to consolidate our forces and head to Jixia Academy." Now that Suxia City and the Shengma sect have become irreparably estranged, only Jixia Academy can provide us with protection. Unlike the Shengma sect, Jixia Academy will not interfere in our affairs, though we may need to pay a protection fee. But which faction does not seek such compensation? The Shengma sect demands 80% of Suxia City's annual revenue. Ban Musheng recognized the gravity of the situation and promptly agreed. However, before he could act, a chilling scream erupted from the warriors who had just pursued, as 1/3 of them were suddenly obliterated. A powerful foe from the Shengma sect had arrived. Chapter 302. Luring the tiger from its mountain, the Shengma sect suffers a great loss. Ban Musheng's face paled in shock. This is bad. Another Wu-level Saint King from the Shengma sect has come. Early in the conflict, Suxia City had completely sealed its teleportation array. No one could use it to come to their aid. They could only fly over slowly. Such distant reinforcement could not bring a large army in time, only elite combatants. Moreover, the Shengma sect had the means to do so. A Wu-level Saint King could suppress a first-rate faction. With one stationed and another dispatched, they had the advantage. The reason this particular Saint King could arrive so swiftly was that he was stationed nearby. 100,000 miles away from Suxia City lay Qianyu City, a trading post established by the Shengma sect. Although the city itself held little in terms of resources, it was renowned as a major trading hub spanning tens of billions of miles. There one could find rare resources, servants, martial techniques, and even beings from foreign realms. If you wished to purchase something, it would be available for sale. The immense value generated for the Shengma sect by this location was substantial. Thus, a Wu-level Saint King was stationed there. Now, with the turmoil in Suxia City, the Shengma sect's outpost sought assistance. Finally, this powerful figure had arrived. Ban Musheng and his men were filled with dread, yearning to flee. Yet Nangong Hao, instead, laughed heartily. "Excellent, let us depart." Above, a spatial portal opened as Nangong Hao seized the Yu Huang seal, Su Wu Hui, and Sun Tzu, making his escape. Ban Musheng, witnessing this, was left utterly dumbfounded. Could it be Nangong Hao was abandoning them? Hadn't they agreed to collaborate? Wasn't it promised that they would protect Suxia City? Could it be that Nangong Hao merely regarded Suxia City as a mere pawn, utilizing them to confront Suxia City, and then intended to depart directly? At that moment, a furious roar echoed from the heavens, emanating from the Wu-level Saint King, drawing the tiger away from its mountain. "Damn you, Nangong Hao! If you dare to strike against Qianyu City, even the Jixia Academy cannot protect you." The onlookers below felt a chill run down their spines. They discerned that the spatial passage opened by Nangong Hao was precisely directed towards Qianyu City. This fellow had intentionally incited conflict in Suxia City, luring the Wu-level Saint King guarding Qianyu City, and then seized the opportunity to attack Qianyu City. This strategy of drawing the tiger away from the mountain was simply exquisite. It must be noted that Qianyu City held far greater significance than Su Xia City. If it were truly destroyed, the foundation of the Shengma sect would be diminished by at least 30%. Furthermore, the repercussions for future developments would be profoundly detrimental. More importantly, the reputation of the Shengma sect would be utterly tarnished. Ban Mushing was momentarily taken aback, then declared in a deep voice, "Bring forth the city immediately. Relocate it near Jixia Academy." The strategist with white brows quickly comprehended the situation. Nan Gonghao was aiding their escape. If they were not using Qianyu City as leverage, they would not be able to flee. Seizing the moment before other formidable figures from the Shengma sect arrived for rescue, Ban Mushing and his companions gathered their formidable powers to envelop the entire city within a spatial formation, subsequently transporting it through the spatial passage. The entire Su Xia City, along with its inhabitants and beings, thus escaped from the perilous area. In the skies, the Wu-level Saint King of the Shengma sect erupted with rage. He never anticipated that the city he personally guarded, Su Xia City, would flee in such a manner. The Wu-level Saint King battling him immediately retreated. Clearly, his mission had been accomplished. The Shengma sect's Wu-level Saint King sought to detain him, but the opponent was already prepared, rendering his efforts futile. Reluctantly, this enraged Wu-level Saint King could only hasten towards Qianyu City. He had to ensure that it remained completely secure. Yet, as he frantically rushed in that direction, he suddenly heard a resonating chime that rippled through the void. It was the Chaos Bell. "Nan Gonghao, I despise you. If I do not kill you, I vow not to be human." The mighty Wu-level Saint King, infuriated, spat out a mouthful of blood. Meanwhile, above Qianyu City, none could have anticipated that Nan Gonghao had summoned the physical form of the Chaos Bell. He unleashed a ferocious strike. The Chaos Bell was among the most formidable imperial artifacts in the entire Zhongzhou. There were even those who claimed it was originally a celestial artifact, only downgraded to an imperial artifact after sustaining severe injuries in a great battle. Although Qianyu City possessed its own imperial artifacts, they were utterly incapable of contending with the Chaos Bell. Moreover, the absence of resistance only exacerbated the situation. The clash of two imperial artifacts unleashed a cataclysmic wave, obliterating half of Qianyu City in an instant. Countless beings met their tragic end in this explosion. Additionally, numerous rare resources were destroyed. The inhabitants of Qianyu City were instantly engulfed in terror. They scattered in a frenzy, while some frantically seized any resources they could carry away. Nan Gonghao refrained from touching those resources. Frankly speaking, with Su Wuhui present, he could effortlessly have Su Wuhui summon them at will. Meanwhile, numerous Shengma sect powerhouses below in Qianyu City howled in anguish and fury. "Nan Gonghao, how dare you assault Qianyu City? The Shengma sect will annihilate you in the eastern wilderness." Nan Gonghao replied calmly, "A friendly reminder, I am capturing infiltrators from foreign realms. Non-combatants should withdraw to avoid collateral damage." Upon hearing this, the millions of beings in Qianyu City erupted in curses. "You should have said that earlier." However, it was clear that this was a lie. Everyone could see through it. Nan Gonghao was merely providing himself with a grandiloquent justification for his actions. The Chaos Bell hovered in the void, radiating overwhelming power, suppressing all the formidable beings and imperial artifacts of Qianyu City, rendering them unable to lift their heads. Meanwhile, the pressure upon Nan Gonghao was not light either. While the imperial artifact was powerful, the consumption of energy was equally terrifying. He was currently relying solely on various supreme paths to hold on, compounded by the imminent arrival of the Wu-level Saint King. He could not afford a delay. With a resounding chime, the violent force even caused cracks to appear in the imperial artifact guarding Qianyu City. The artifact emitted a mournful wail, transforming into a streak of light and fleeing. Clearly, this imperial artifact was unwilling to protect this location any longer. Witnessing this scene, all the beings trembled in shock. This was truly ruthless. Nan Gonghao hesitated no longer, manipulating the Chaos Bell with a gentle sway, shattering the fabric of time and space. A terrifying black hole emerged, pulling Nan Gonghao and a multitude of beings into its depths, vanishing from sight. Just as they departed, a terrifying force surged towards them from the distance. The Wu-level Saint King, who had originally guarded Qianyu City, returned. He unleashed a furious strike, attempting to shatter Nan Gonghao from afar. Unfortunately, it bore no effect. The tumultuous chaos from beyond the realm neutralized all attacks. Nan Gonghao departed effortlessly with his companions. Once he had left, the multitude of beings gazed down at Qianyu City, their scalps tingling with dread. This was a monumental disaster. Such an important location had been devastated. The Shengma sect was bound to erupt in fury. Even the Jixia Academy would struggle to prevent them from seeking vengeance upon Nan Gonghao. Chaos was imminent. Chapter 303 The Sect Master Arrives. A complete fallout? Who was afraid? The Shengma sect could almost be regarded as the largest trading hub, Qianyu City. Its destruction quickly spread throughout the realm. Countless beings became aware of the incident. They flocked to see the state of Qianyu City. However, upon witnessing the devastation, they were left utterly astounded. Once, Qianyu City spanned over 100,000 miles. Magnificent and imposing. Daily, billions of beings traversed through its gates. The recorded trading volume of its shops had once reached a staggering 100 trillion spirit coins. Not to mention the countless private transactions that transpired. Countless factions, large and small, were envious of Qianyu City. Some sought to replicate its success, yet always fell short. Others attempted to sabotage it, but their efforts were merely trivial. Qianyu City had stood resilient for over 30,000 years without incident, a prized possession of the Shengma sect. But now, Qianyu City had been reduced to ruins, a desolate landscape of broken walls and shattered remnants. The sites were filled with devastation, and the ground was littered with corpses. Flames raged and smoke billowed. Numerous treasures lay scattered, many of which were rare. Yet, none dared to seize or collect them, only standing from a distance to observe. Of course, while some visited Qianyu City, many more flocked to Jixia Academy, eager to witness the aftermath of Nan Gonghao's catastrophic actions. Would Jixia Academy still be willing to protect him? Not only these onlookers, but countless powerful figures from the Shengma sect mobilized as well. In contrast to the last time, when a mountain king led a million-strong army, the Shengma sect dispatched only a little over 100 individuals this time. However, among them were 5 Wu-level Saint Kings. There were dozens of divine-level Saint Kings, and the lowest among them were all at the level of Wenda-level Saint Kings. This time, they arrived bearing the Shengma sect's most formidable imperial artifact. Even the sect master of the Shengma sect personally questioned from afar. This represented the utmost fury of the Shengma sect. Suxia City had already been completely relocated, and they now trembled just a few thousand miles from Jixia Academy. Although an imperial artifact loomed over Suxia City, capable of obliterating them entirely, the Shengma sect would not act recklessly before negotiations were finalized. Is Jixia Academy prepared? Will you surrender, Nan Gonghao? The sect master of the Shengma sect's voice thundered like rolling thunder, shaking the 4 corners of the world. The other 6 supreme powers among the 7 great forces were all watching this unfolding drama, as were various other factions, all eagerly anticipating the spectacle. Nan Gonghao had always been arrogant, and this was not the first time he had uprooted a stronghold of the Shengma sect. The commotion this time is indeed substantial. The leader of the Shengmazong has personally spoken out, which clearly indicates their unwillingness to compromise. The chief priest of the Jixia Academy has also responded, calmly stating that Nan Gonghao has not yet returned. The crowd's minds flickered with thoughts, but they quickly came to a realization. Since Nan Gonghao has utilized the Chaos Bell, he undoubtedly must return it. Furthermore, given the considerable consumption of his energy, he would naturally require some time to recover. Numerous powerful beings cast their divine consciousness over Dongwang. Yet none dare to act. After all, the Chaos Bell has already resumed its position, and they were reluctant to provoke a great war. As the divine consciousness of these formidable beings reached Dongwang, they received a response indicating that Nan Gonghao had already departed. Confusion settled among the crowd. What did this mean? He was neither in the Dongwang domain nor at the Jixia Academy. Could it be that he was aware of the catastrophic trouble he had caused and sought a place to hide? Although many harbored such thoughts, they found it implausible. They believed instead that Nan Gonghao had taken advantage of everyone's attention being drawn to the Jixia Academy to deal with the Shengmazong stronghold. This notion sent a chill through the hearts of many powerful beings. Even the strong members of the Shengmazong resorted to special communication stones to contact various strongholds. The Shengmazong had countless strongholds, and upon accounting for them, it was discovered that over 100 had been eradicated. This news, unbeknownst to whom it was leaked, caused a stir. Had Nan Gonghao gone mad? He had already drawn the ire of the Shengmazong's leader by destroying Qianyu City, and during this time, he had continued to obliterate over 100 strongholds of the Shengmazong. Was he intent on uprooting one of the 7 supreme powers, the Shengmazong? The name of Nan Gonghao once again resonated throughout the Guanyu and Tianyu. All beings regarded him as a madman, while all prodigies viewed him as a formidable foe. Moreover, there were continuous declarations from eminent figures. In the extreme southern lands, the young lord of the Feng clan expressed a desire to meet Nangong Hao. What was the purpose of this meeting? It was, of course, to establish superiority. The Feng clan is known as an ancient top-tier race, with an exceptionally pure bloodline, born into the realm of monarchs, and now has even reached the level of divine sage kings, making them unparalleled prodigies. However, it was not only the Feng clan. The prodigy Ho-Yi from the northern wilderness, upon hearing this news, laughed 3 times before unleashing an arrow that soared across tens of thousands of miles, aimed directly at Nangong Hao. Yet, this arrow did not seek to harm him, but rather to challenge him. Additionally, the Bodhisattva from the western Bliss Desert recited Amitabha and declared from a distance, Nangong Hao is a creature of demons and must be exterminated. While these 3 prodigies may not necessarily be the strongest in their respective domains, they are undoubtedly the most talented in the open. Their united voices were enough to reverberate through countless beings, instilling both admiration and sympathy for Nangong Hao. They admired his ability to capture the attention of so many formidable beings, a testament to his strength and capability. Yet, they also sympathized with him, knowing that being targeted by so many strong entities would not bode well for his future. After all, Nangong Hao had not even reached the Sage King realm. What could he possibly achieve? As for why the various prodigies from Zhongzhou remained silent, it was because they deemed it unnecessary. No one understood better than the forces of Zhongzhou just how formidable the 7 supreme powers truly are. The Shengmazong is not even the weakest among them, now that Nangong Hao has so provocatively challenged them. If the Shengmazong allows him to live, they would lose all faith in claiming to be supreme. The other 6 supreme powers would not permit him to be on par with them. Therefore, even if the Shengmazong and the Jixiao Academy were to engage in a life-and-death struggle, they would undoubtedly spare no effort in eliminating Nangong Hao. The leader of the Shengmazong bellowed in fury, attempting to capture Nangong Hao from afar. However, Nangong Hao had long since prepared for this eventuality and had returned to the Jixiao Academy via the teleportation array before the Shengmazong could act. He did not return to the interior of the academy, but instead stood in the wilderness outside. There, he quietly observed the gathering forces of the Shengmazong, which included the 2 Wu-level Sage Kings from Qianyu City and Suxia City. These 2 had lost face because of Nangong Hao and now looked at him with eyes filled with murderous intent, eager to wash away their humiliation with his blood. Before the crowd, the chief priest of the Jixiao Academy spoke calmly. Nangong Hao, both the academy and the Shengmazong require your explanation. Nangong Hao scoffed. You wish for me to explain? If that is the case, the Shengmazong may very well cease to exist. Are you certain you want to proceed in this manner? Upon hearing Nangong Hao's words, the many powerful onlookers were left bewildered. What secret did Nangong Hao possess regarding the Shengmazong? How could he be so self-assured? It is well known that while he may be arrogant, his wisdom is exceptionally profound. Each time people believed he was doomed, he managed to escape. Having committed such a heinous crime this time, he must have acquired some astonishing leverage. Yet, the leader of the Shengmazong pondered inwardly and found nothing abnormal within the sect. Even if there were some minor misdeeds, they seemed insufficient to warrant such severe punishment. The chief priest sighed. Shengmazong retreat. The crowd gasped in astonishment, failing to comprehend the meaning behind his words. Did the chief priest know something that led him to believe that the Shengmazong would encounter grave misfortune? Or was he attempting to protect Nangong Hao? Even the leader of the Shengmazong questioned. Chief priest, I believe I have committed no wrongdoing. Let him speak freely. The chief priest did not respond hastily, but instead unleashed a torrent of power. Having reached the pinnacle of the Nirvana-level Sage King realm, he was very close to becoming an emperor. It was only due to his constant suppression of his power that he had not crossed the threshold. Consequently, the force he unleashed at that moment was truly terrifying. Nangong Hao's heart trembled. He felt that even if he were to utilize the power of the Chaos Bell, he might not be able to subdue this chief priest. Leave or remain here. The chief priest's hand hovered over the heads of the Shengmazong members. With a mere thought, he could obliterate them all. Even those Wu-level Sage Kings would not escape, for as time progressed, the disparity in realms only widened. No one had anticipated that the chief priest would suddenly strike. The leader of the Shengmazong furiously rebuked. Is the Jixiao Academy relying on its strength to bully my Shengmazong? This leader, also a Nirvana-level Sage King, retaliated with a powerful strike that shook the heavens and earth. Half of the celestial realm trembled due to their clash, mountains crumbled, and the sun and moon hung in chaos. Countless beings were killed from afar, including many skilled individuals of noble status. Many factions were compelled to use imperial artifacts to protect themselves, lest they be uprooted entirely. This is precisely why those who aspire to become emperors are often sent to the outer battlefield. The power of such beings transcends imagination. The chief priest and the leader of the Xingmazong exchanged blows from a distance. Both sides tempered their power, and with their respective imperial artifacts and protective forces, they managed to prevent widespread annihilation. Yet, the suffering of all beings was undeniable. However, the chief priest did not relent, but coldly declared, "Withdraw. Do not trouble Nangong Hao again in the future, or I shall personally intervene." A collective intake of breath echoed through the crowd. What was the true nature of Nangong Hao's relationship with the chief priest? The chief priest seemed willing to sever ties with the Xingmazong entirely, even unreasonably insisting on protecting him. The leader of the Xingmazong was equally astonished and enraged. Jixia Academy, are you declaring yourself an enemy of my Xingmazong? If you do not retreat, let it be war. The chief priest's tone remained indifferent. Upon hearing this, the crowd could only smile wryly, at a loss for words. The Jixia Academy's declaration was not merely a simple proclamation of enmity against the Xingmazong. One must understand that this faction has always maintained a stance of neutrality. Even the commands of the Qianzhige have never been heeded by them. The Jixia Academy shall pursue only what it deems just. Yet now, in a blatant display of favoritism towards Nangong Hao, they have audaciously proclaimed their intent to oppose the Shengma sect. Are they willing to disregard their long-standing neutral stance and the esteemed reputation for reason they have cultivated over the years? Is it truly worth sacrificing all of this for a mere Nangong Hao? Ironically, as the crowd turned their gaze towards Nangong Hao, eager to discern the allure and qualifications that prompted such actions from the headmaster, Nangong Hao merely shook his head in derision, remarking, "It must be said, scholars can sometimes be excessively naive." The onlookers furrowed their brows, contemplating whether this was a veiled mockery of the headmaster. Had he lost his sanity? What astonishing leverage could he possibly possess to act with such impunity? Regardless of what the Jixia Academy declares today, I shall not yield. The leader of the Xingma sect declared coldly. Within the Jixia Academy, the headmaster fell silent. Moments later, he slowly emerged from the academy, disregarding the members of the Xingma sect, and instead focused on Nangong Hao, asking, "Must it be said?" Nangong Hao shrugged nonchalantly, indeed. Even if the Xingma sect were to fall, would the heavenly domain descend into chaos? The headmaster inquired gravely, "If you do not speak, am I not among the saviors?" Nangong Hao replied casually. Upon hearing this, the crowd was engulfed in confusion. What savior? However, the leaders of the 7 most formidable factions were taken aback. They were already aware of the savior matter, as the Qianji Pavilion had foreseen the outcomes and informed them to prepare in advance. However, in order to protect several saviors, the Qianji Pavilion had refrained from revealing their identities. Thus, even among the 7 great powers, unless one belonged to the faction of the savior, outsiders remained in the dark. No one anticipated that Nangong Hao would disclose his identity at this moment. This revelation piqued the curiosity of the leaders of the 7 great powers. Could it be that his status as a savior instilled such confidence that the Shengma sect would not dare to act against him? Is this the reason the headmaster went to such lengths to protect him? The headmaster was equally unprepared for Nangong Hao's candidness, offering a rueful smile. "You are far more difficult to manage than I had imagined." Nangong Hao laughed heartily. "I adore the sunlight for its ability to dispel darkness. Why not expose everything to its brilliance?" The headmaster remained silent for a moment before shaking his head. "Perhaps you are correct." With that, he turned to depart. His figure slightly stooped. Nangong Hao watched the headmaster's silhouette gradually vanish into the academy, while others observed in silence. Even the liberated members of the Xingma sect remained still, sensing an ominous undercurrent. It appeared that Nangong Hao truly harbored an unassailable confidence. Without making them wait too long, Nangong Hao summoned a shimmering screen of light, inscribed with a multitude of names. These names belonged to disciples of the Shengma sect, some merely in their teens, while others were hundreds, even thousands of years old. They encompassed both genders, young and old alike. Regardless of their appearances, levels of power, or personalities, they shared a common thread. All had once been marginalized and oppressed, each bearing profound grievances. Such individuals are remarkably easy to manipulate. I trust you all understand this better than I do. Thus, in such circumstances, if beings from foreign realms were to deliberately approach them, tempting them to betray the Guangyuan heavenly domain, what are the chances of success? The answer is approximately 80%. I have brought them here, and I invite the esteemed members of the Shengma sect to interrogate them publicly. Once he finished speaking, Nangonghao opened his space of storage and released a throng of individuals, all those listed. He provided the names for the convenience of outsiders to investigate these individuals' backgrounds. Bringing them forth was intended to publicly showcase the foreign beings they had summoned. The words of Nangonghao plunged the gathered crowd into a profound silence. Yet moments later, the atmosphere erupted. What does this mean? Can't you tell? The Shengma sect has been infiltrated by beings from foreign realms. At least over 100 names. Could they all be spies from foreign realms? Judging by Nangonghao's expression, there might be even more. It stands to reason that the Shengma sect excels in summoning beings from beyond, making their vulnerability to such infiltration highly probable. Was this the very leverage Nangonghao had relied upon? I see now. The headmaster's firm opposition stemmed from the fear that Nangonghao would utter these words, thus plunging the Shengma sect into dire complications. Indeed, should the Shengma sect fail to clarify this matter, they risk incurring the wrath of the other 6 formidable factions. The crowd buzzed with speculation, casting curious glances at the members of the Shengma sect, who were filled with rage and disbelief. The sect leader personally demanded, Nangonghao, what evidence do you possess? Awaken them. Summon the beings they have communicated with. All present were seasoned individuals, surely familiar with the entities that had once invaded the Guangyuan heavenly domain from the other 4 realms, were they not? Nangonghao replied nonchalantly. The sect leader remained inactive. From a distance, a divine-level elder from the Shengma sect rushed forward, awakening a disciple under Nangonghao's control. The disciple awoke, fearfully scanning his surroundings. Where is this? Enough idle chatter. I am an elder of the Shengma sect. Summon your being immediately. The divine-level elder commanded. The disciple appeared visibly shaken, though it could be attributed to his disorientation in the unfamiliar environment. Summon now, the elder shouted. This matter pertains to the reputation of the Shengma sect. It must be treated with utmost seriousness. My being was shattered by Nangonghao, rendering me unable to summon it, the disciple admitted, his gaze cast downwards, betraying his unease. You wretched fool, if you do not summon it, I shall annihilate your entire clan. The elder thundered, his aura flaring. A flicker of hatred crossed the disciple's face. Yet in a mournful tone, he lamented, my family has already been slaughtered. The surrounding crowd shuddered upon hearing this. Indeed, he was a man of tragic fate, as Nangonghao had accurately discerned his background. The divine-level elder from the Shengma sect's expression twitched, yet he forcibly maintained his composure. Summon your being, and I will accept you as my personal disciple. The disciple hesitated. Bring forth the Xiaoyao mirror, commanded the sect leader personally. The Xiaoyao mirror, a revered artifact of the Shengma sect, possesses the ability to summon divine beings, reveal the sinister entities summoned by practitioners, and even control, seize, or slay them. Upon hearing this, the disciple was instantly gripped by terror. No. Witnessing this scene, the crowd could no longer deny that the disciple indeed harbored a grave issue. Yet the Xiaoyao mirror was still procured and directed towards the disciple. Instantly, a fearsome beast in the shape of a wild boar manifested upon the disciple. This beast was of a lowly grade, not only in the presence of the high-tier divine beings that populated the Shengma sect, but even when compared with other beings outside. It was considered inferior. Hence, the disciple had been relegated to a small outpost for his life and training. Seeing that the disciple had summoned a ferocious beast and not a being from foreign realms, the members of the Shengma sect breathed a sigh of relief. Nangonghao, what further words do you have? Someone inquired. Fool, let him summon it, Nangonghao mocked. A stubborn duck. Indeed, that child, summon away. If you do so, we shall bestow upon you abundant treasures. By following the divine-level elder, you will gain access to the highest resources. Hurry and summon. The many powerful figures of the Shengma sect pressed on, yet the disciple's complexion grew increasingly pale, trembling incessantly. He neither dared nor wished to summon. Observing this, one of the Shengma sect's members activated the Xiaoyao mirror. The mirror emanated a peculiar force, summoning the contracted beast on behalf of the disciple. No. The disciple screamed in sheer panic. Others expressed their confusion. This individual clearly possessed a ferocious beast, so what was he so afraid of? Soon, the beast was summoned, immediately surveying its surroundings. As soon as the surrounding situation became apparent, the ferocious beast visibly trembled in fright before feigning ignorance. Nangonghao scoffed. Feigning ignorance? Do you possess such capability? The power of the Tao of causality was unleashed, enveloping the beast's head, tracing back to its origins. Damn it! The beast roared. It's you again, that cursed Nangonghao. Upon uttering these words, a soul surged forth from the beast's ethereal form, hastily fleeing into the distance. There was no need for any special artifacts for detection this time. The intense aura of outer realm power radiating from the soul could be sensed by any living being present. This scene incited fury among all beings. They understood now. The disciples of the Sheng Mo Zong had indeed summoned outer realm deities, yet those otherworldly entities had taken possession of these summoned beings. Thus, despite the unchanged appearances of these summoned deities, they had fundamentally transformed into foreign entities. These disciples had long since become the pawns of the outer realm beings, serving their interests. Traitors. As the fury of all living beings escalated, the powerful figures of the Sheng Mo Zong were naturally even more enraged. They immediately moved to eliminate the fleeing outer realm soul as well as the betraying disciple. However, even after eliminating this one, there were still around 100 individuals lying unconscious on the ground. Upon seeing those incapacitated disciples, the faces of the Sheng Mo Zong members turned pale. If these individuals were indeed traitors, even the grand legacy of the Sheng Mo Zong could not withstand such a blow. After all, these were merely the captured ones. Who knew how many remained at large? More frighteningly, the other 6 supreme forces would undoubtedly not stand idly by. Their most probable course of action would be to unite and compel the Sheng Mo Zong to provide an explanation, and they might even collaborate to investigate further. Should this situation continue to escalate unchecked, the Sheng Mo Zong would likely face a joint suppression from all factions, plummeting from a supreme to a first-rate power. That would still be fortunate. If misfortune struck, they could very well face total annihilation. At this moment, the onlookers finally comprehended the source of Nangonghao's confidence. They also grasped why the sacrificial wine official was willing to go to such lengths to protect him. It was not merely a matter of safeguarding Nangonghao. It was, in truth, a measure to protect the Jixia Academy. Naturally, some pondered why the sacrificial wine official did not directly approach the leader of the Sheng Mo Zong to explain the matter in detail. However, upon reconsideration, they realized that the leader of the Sheng Mo Zong, having made such a grand display of demanding individuals, would certainly not heed the sacrificial wine official's persuasion, nor would he believe a word of it. After all, who would dare to believe that one of the 7 supreme forces was being invaded by so many outer realm beings? The expressions of all living entities had grown immensely grave. Only Nangonghao calmly stated, "Continue, confirm each one." The members of the Sheng Mo Zong exchanged glances for a moment and ultimately gritted their teeth. They must confirm each and every one. Chapter 306. The Secret of the Reincarnation Palace. The members of the Sheng Mo Zong, under the scrutinizing eyes of all, began to awaken the disciples one by one. However, no one held any hope for these disciples of the Sheng Mo Zong. After all, Nangonghao would not have dared to present all these individuals if he did not possess confidence. Yet, the members of the Sheng Mo Zong still clung to a sense of luck. As the disciples awakened one by one, some expressed terror and rejected the summons, while others begged for mercy. Even more insisted on their innocence, feigning ignorance and claiming to be framed. This was the choice of the majority. But who would believe them? Nangonghao directly used the Tao of causality to reveal how they had colluded with the outer realm beings. What more needed to be said? Among the more than 100 disciples, without exception, they were all undercover agents of the outer realm beings. What was even more lethal was that Nangonghao publicly questioned, among these more than 100 infiltrators of the Sheng Mo Zong, do you not wonder if there might actually be 1,000 or even 10,000? The crowd felt a tremor in their hearts at this statement. The beings of the Guangyuan heavenly domain were numerous. The Sheng Mo Zong had millions of members. Over 10,000 did not seem like much, but who knew if they had infiltrated the core leadership? Who could say how many of these divine Saint Kings or Wu-level Saint Kings were actually outer realm agents? These infiltrators appeared ordinary, yet they could use bribery, coercion, and various other methods to entice their own people into treachery. The Sheng Mo Zong had already become untrustworthy. Just as the crowd was engulfed in shock, a distant rumble echoed. The Sheng Mo Zong shall seal the mountains. All external disciples are to confine themselves voluntarily, and those who resist shall be exterminated. Agreed. Agreed. 6 of the 7 supreme forces expressed their stance. This included the Kwa Dao men. The leader of the Sheng Mo Zong remained silent. All present from the Sheng Mo Zong wore expressions of astonishment and rage. They understood that the Sheng Mo Zong was doomed. This time, A thorough internal cleansing was imperative to eliminate all undercover agents. Moreover, it was necessary to exterminate all infiltrators under the witness of the other forces. Even then, the other 6 Supremes would likely remain dissatisfied and exert relentless pressure. This truly marked a life-and-death juncture. If not handled properly, the Shang Mo zone would indeed face obliteration. Meanwhile, the instigator Nangonghao turned elegantly and returned to the Jixia Academy. The myriad beings gazed at his retreating figure with complex expressions. From now on, perhaps no one would dare to confront Nangonghao anymore. After all, even one of the 7 supreme forces had been toppled by him. Upon returning to the Jixia Academy, Su Wuhui and others greeted him. "Big brother, you are magnificent," Su Wuhui exclaimed with excitement. Sun Tzu was equally thrilled. The Shang Mo zone had previously oppressed him in countless ways, so avenging himself felt immensely satisfying. Shen Kongwu rushed over from a distance and whispered, "Master, Lord Shangjun is waiting for you at the residence." "Waiting for me?" Nangonghao was taken aback. He had not anticipated that Lord Shangjun would personally come to visit. The others were equally puzzled. Lord Shangjun was a key figure in the judicial department and the foremost among the legalists, holding considerable power. For such an individual to seek an audience with Nangonghao, would it not suffice to send someone to notify him? Moreover, he was still Nangonghao's superior. With questions lingering, the group hurried to Nangonghao's residence. Indeed, Lord Shangjun stood by the pond in the garden, hands clasped behind him. Nangonghao approached and inquired, "You wish to see me, my lord?" Lord Shangjun did not turn around but pointed at a small fish in the pond, saying, "Observe the tail of this fish. With the slightest movement, countless ripples arise. Occasionally, when it leaps from the water, it creates a great splash, sending the leaves on the water's surface tumbling into the corners." Listening to this cryptic statement, Nangonghao furrowed his brow. "Are you implying that my actions this time were excessive, provoking too great a commotion?" Lord Shangjun did not respond directly, but continued, "The majority of beings in the Guanyuan heavenly domain are akin to these fallen leaves, merely drifting with the current. The 7 supreme forces are like those small fish. Even the slightest action can stir up waves. What then would occur if they were to struggle desperately in a life-or-death situation?" Nangonghao understood. Lord Shangjun was advising him to leave a path of retreat for the Shang Mo zone. He should not allow the Shang Mo zone to become like those fish floundering in their final throes, stirring up chaos in the waters of the Guanyuan heavenly domain. Otherwise, the waters would eventually calm, yet those fallen leaves would be shattered and cease to exist. Regrettably, Nangonghao shook his head. "My lord, your words are misguided. I do not favor using metaphors of fish and fallen leaves for such matters. Perhaps the Confucians might appreciate such ambiguous phrases, but I prefer to be straightforward. The Shang Mo zone's desperate struggles will indeed result in the demise of countless beings. However, the Shang Mo zone is already riddled with internal strife. If not resolved quickly, it will inevitably become a toxic tumor radiating deadly poison. In that case, will it be better for one Shang Mo zone to perish, or for all 7 supreme forces to fall?" Lord Shangjun then slowly turned to face Nangonghao. "Do you know from which force I hail?" Nangonghao was taken aback, and his heart tightened. He suddenly stepped back 2 paces. "You hail from the Shang Mo zone?" In the distance, Shen Kongwu and his companions collectively gasped in disbelief. Shangjun chuckled softly. "You are overthinking it." "That's a relief," Nangonghao replied, exhaling deeply. "I hail from the Luanhui Palace," Shangjun stated calmly. The crowd was taken aback. Luanhui Palace. It was once one of the most formidable powers in the Guanyuan heavenly domain, but had fallen in the land of inheritance long ago. Nangonghao was aware of this event and had thought that all members of Luanhui Palace had perished. He never imagined there would be a survivor like Shangjun. The others nearby also listened intently, astonished. Shangjun continued without reservation. "In fact, I only recently awakened this part of my memory. Back then, Luanhui Palace was aware of its impending demise and, in a moment of desperation, sealed many prodigies using great divine powers. I was one of them, awakening in a daze after many years, only to recently discover my origins and recall the reasons behind the fall of Luanhui Palace." Nangonghao sighed. "It was due to the infiltration of beings from the outer realms, wasn't it?" Shang Yun nodded. "Indeed. In its time, Luanhui Palace, much like the current Shuma sect, was betrayed by countless disciples. However, we were the ones who uncovered the treachery ourselves, so it never spread. Our approach was straightforward. We did not seek out those external instigators. Instead, We used immense divine powers to thrust Luanhui Palace into the battlefield, forcing everyone to fight with all their might. I can proudly say that had it not been for Luanhui Palace's desperate struggle, that battle would not have delayed until the arrival of the great emperor. As he spoke, pride illuminated Shang Jun's face. It is rare for such an emotion to surface on the visage of a seemingly indifferent person, showcasing his deep pride in the audacity of Luanhui Palace. Chapter 307. The fall and hope of Xinhua sect. Shang Jun's words were unmistakably clear. He wished for the Xinhua sect to mirror the former Luanhui Palace. Although infiltrated by beings from the outer realms, they could still venture into the land of inheritance to meet their demise, using their very flesh and blood to obstruct the invading forces. Nan Gonghao smiled. What if all the disciples of Xinhua sect betray the Guangyuan heavenly domain? Then you would be deemed a sinner. Shang Jun replied calmly. I anticipated that this blame would ultimately fall upon me. However, I have grown accustomed to it. Nan Gonghao chuckled lightly and shook his head. In the chaos of the Dongwang domain, he had intervened, yet some still blamed him for not eradicating the Hongmeng demon sea completely. Otherwise, the circumstances would not have been so dire. This time, the same would undoubtedly apply to the Xinhua sect. Whether due to casualties from their extreme resistance or their complete betrayal, should any issue arise, blame would surely be cast upon Nan Gonghao. They would question why he revealed the truth, as if that had caused the situation to deteriorate. Even though they knew that had he not intervened, the Guangyuan heavenly domain would have been infiltrated by numerous beings from the outer realms. After all, someone must bear the brunt of the blame. Nan Gonghao was the most suitable target, given the envy directed towards him. Observing Nan Gonghao's nonchalant demeanor, Shang Jun refrained from further discussing the Xinhua sect, and instead remarked, the passage to the land of inheritance will be repaired in a few days, and the storms within should also cease. Nan Gonghao nodded. That's good. Does that mean we can all enter? Yes, at that time, the Jixia Academy will select some students to enter. As the inspector, you are required to protect these students, Shang Jun explained. Nan Gonghao was taken aback. Me? Protect students? Are you certain they won't be in danger because of me? That is the intention of the Jiju, Shang Jun clarified. Nan Gonghao slightly inclined his head. Does the Jiju have any other words? He said that after you declared your identity as the savior, he calculated once more. The likelihood of you being the savior has increased. Shang Jun's expression was peculiar. Nan Gonghao found it amusing. Is that true? Wait, such a significant matter. How did the Jiju calculate it? Assisting others in predicting the future can easily jeopardize one's own being, especially when determining one's own identity as the savior, which carries even greater pressure. The Jiju had previously stated that many top-tier powerhouses of the Qianji Pavilion perished while attempting to ascertain the identities of several saviors. Although now there's only myself, the pressure must still be substantial. Upon hearing this, Shang Jun glanced at the few individuals in the distance. They understood the hint and quickly withdrew, ceasing their eavesdropping. Once the surroundings were devoid of others, the Jiju created a protective barrier and spoke softly. The Jiju has fallen. Hearing this, Nan Gonghao was taken aback. The Jiju, who could break through to the quasi-emperor realm with just a single thought, had fallen so easily? Could it be that he perished while attempting to predict his own future? What was his true aim? Nan Gonghao could not fathom it. And no matter how he racked his brain, he found no answers. Shang Jun regarded Nan Gonghao calmly. The news of the Jiju's fall is known only to you and me for now. Try to keep it from spreading. Nan Gonghao nodded, aware of the implications. The most feared aspect of the external world was indeed the Jiju's strength. Even the Qianji Pavilion had been cautious because of it. For many years, the Qianji Pavilion had refrained from intervening in the Jixia Academy due to the Jiju's formidable presence. Speaking of strength, the Jiju had insisted on displaying his overwhelming power, clashing fiercely with the Xinhua sect. Perhaps it was to showcase his might, leading others to believe he could perpetually endure. Regardless, the fall of the Jiju would significantly alter the landscape of the Guangyuan heavenly domain. Especially in this tumultuous season, it would create an enormous upheaval. Once the Qianji Pavilion learns of this, they will likely intervene comprehensively in the management of the Jixia Academy. Nan Gonghao's mind was a whirlpool of thoughts. He did not even notice when Shang Jun had departed. Upon regaining his senses, he found himself alone, prompting him to calmly call upon Shen Kongwu and the others. In a few days, the land of inheritance will open. I will escort these students in my capacity as inspector. If you wish to accompany me, feel free to join, Nan Gonghao stated nonchalantly. Su Wuhui and the others exchanged glances. They were all intrigued by that place and eager to go. It seems everyone wishes to attend. Very well. Gather the other disciples to join us, Nan Gonghao promised. Yes, master, Shun Kongwu responded. He had taken on the role of an internal affairs minister, managing nearly all matters related to the peacekeeping. The others were secretly excited, preparing their belongings in anticipation of departure at any moment. Not only were they preparing, but other disciples were also making arrangements. This entry into the land of inheritance would see significantly more participants than the last. After all, the various forces had either learned or suspected that issues might arise last time. This time, there would be no such problems, and those resources had fully manifested, ripe for the taking. Should they delay, they would be left with nothing. All the major forces were preparing to seek opportunities, while the Shengma sect was preoccupied with how to preserve itself. Unfortunately, the six great powers had dispatched individuals to seize all the strongholds of the Shengma sect. They publicly claimed to be searching for infiltrators, but in truth, they were pillaging all the resources from those strongholds. Any disciples of the Shengma sect who resisted were labeled as infiltrators from the outer realms and ruthlessly suppressed. As a once mighty force, the Shengma sect possessed innumerable strongholds, and within mere hours, nearly all were overrun, resulting in immeasurable losses. Consequently, the Shengma sect was weakened by over a third of its strength. Even if they could prove their innocence, they would remain severely weakened. In such circumstances, it was likely they could not even clear their names. Other forces were eyeing the Shengma sect with greed, hoping to seize and absorb this powerful entity. After all, the accumulation of formidable power is no trivial matter. Just the several imperial artifacts of the Shengma sect were enough to incite envy among all. A significant portion of the strong individuals in the Guangyuan heavenly domain were pressuring the Shengma sect for a swift explanation. Even now, formidable forces have gathered outside the headquarters of Shengma Zone, threatening and shouting. Those elite powers allied with Shengma Zone have all betrayed them, even joining the enemy camp to menace the sect. It is a revelry. The revelers care little for the fate of Shengma Zone, focusing solely on their own interests. Meanwhile, the powerful individuals within Shengma Zone are consumed by fury. Just days ago, they were one of the 7 supreme powers, revered and admired wherever their disciples roamed. Yet now, their walls have crumbled, and many eagerly await to exploit the situation and witness the chaos. However, they find themselves unable to resist, forced to explain their predicament. Amidst the sorrow and anger of the elders and disciples of Shengma Zone, the sect's leader, after conferring with the immortals, has made a momentous decision. They intend to emulate the ancient Luanhui Palace, filling the path to their legacy to prevent the beings from outside realms from entering, thus proving their innocence through this sacrifice. Chapter 308. A martial contest for marriage? The Divine Emperor's calculations. Shengma Zone has declared its intention to enter the realm of legacy, willing to do whatever it takes to block the path of external beings, even if it costs them their lives. Naturally, such declarations are not easily trusted. The sect leader summoned all members of Shengma Zone, from the slumbering immortals to the most humble disciples, who gathered to pledge oaths. The resonating vows declared that should anyone break their word, they would face divine retribution and eternal damnation. Upon hearing these vows, the entire Guangyuan heavenly domain fell silent, including the various powers encircling Shengma Zone, waiting to take advantage of their downfall. They realized they must cease their schemes, for even their greed could lead to ruin. Shengma Zone has declared its commitment to oppose the beings from the outer realms, and even those who wish to shy away must now stand firm or perish. In such dire circumstances, anyone daring to strike against Shengma Zone will be seen as a conspirator, certain to face collective wrath. As the members of Shengma Zone pledged their oaths, they began relocating, a monumental task for a power of their magnitude, especially as their entrance into the realm of legacy would mean they may never return unless the external beings fully retreated. This decision is akin to a warrior severing their own arm, choosing to dwell forever within the legacy realm, holding onto a glimmer of hope while ensuring their immediate safety. Many beings from the Guangyuan heavenly domain admire the audacity of Shengma Zone. However, as they prepared to move, a rumor began to spread. One must never cross the family of Nan Gonghao. This calamity for Shengma Zone was said to stem from their crossing of a forbidden line. Allegedly, the second son of the Nangong family, Nangong Tua, was in love with the daughter of one of the sect's elders. Yet the elder disapproved of their union, imprisoning his daughter and coercing Nangong Tua to act against Nangong Hao. Upon learning of this, the elder's daughter took her own life to prevent a rift between the brothers. Consequently, Nangong Tua, distraught, vanished while seeking to confront Sheng Mazong, leading to Nan Gonghao's retaliation against them. The origin of this tale remains unknown. Yet it quickly became common knowledge among countless beings. People marveled at the fierce resolve of Sheng Mazong's woman while mocking the elder for his folly. Though Nangong Tua is indeed of the Nangong family, he could easily sever ties. Sheng Mazong had an opportunity to win Nangong Tua to their side, gaining a prodigious talent. Yet they not only lost him, but also incurred Nangonghao's wrath. More alarmingly, Nangonghao nearly obliterated their entire sect as a result. Initially, many beings respected Sheng Mazong's courageous severance, but now they merely regard them as fools. Meanwhile, Nangonghao, observing from a distance, watched the members of Sheng Mazong relocate to the realm of legacy, his expression calm. Beside him, Chu Yutan inquired, "Master, did you foresee Sheng Mazong making this choice?" Yan Wushuang also displayed curiosity. Nangonghao replied, "I expected at least a few would ascend to the quasi-emperor realm to preserve their lineage in the outer battlefield, while others would vow to resist the external beings. However, I did not anticipate the entire sect would relocate. This indicates that Sheng Mazong either possesses a solution to the current crisis or harbors a special agenda." Hearing this, the two women realized they were indeed part of Nangonghao's calculations, causing them to tremble inwardly. This man, with his unparalleled beauty and extraordinary talent, possesses wisdom that utterly eclipses all others. As Nangonghao pondered, he suddenly heard a cautious voice from behind him. Are you busy?" Recognizing the familiar voice, he turned to find it was Princess Mo Ning, but she no longer exuded her previous arrogance. Her ethereal face reflected a blend of awkwardness, anxiety, and guilt, emotions difficult for her delicate visage to contain. "Is there something you need?" Nangonghao asked. Yes, a little," Princess Mo Ning replied. Her gaze lowered as she nervously toyed with the hem of her garment. Observing her demeanor, Chu Yutan smiled slightly. "Do you require us to avoid any misunderstandings?" "No, I believe I came to express my gratitude," Mo Ning said. "I simply disapprove of the methods employed by the Wang family. You need not be so formal." Nangonghao replied nonchalantly. Upon hearing this, Chu Yutan thought Nangonghao lacked romantic sensibility, while Mo Ning exhaled a sigh of relief, saying, "Then allow me to offer you a token of thanks. This is a Zouqian Qin given by my father, an ancient sacred artifact." The Zouqian Qin, resembling a guzheng, radiated a subtle fragrance that invigorated the senses. Additionally, it emitted unique waves, suggesting it held functions beyond those of ordinary instruments. Noticing Nangonghao's interest, Mo Ning smiled brightly and explained, "This Zouqian Qin is crafted from a type of innate spiritual root, and its strings are made from the tendons of a true dragon. When played, it can captivate the mind and harmonize with the celestial pathways, forming a pseudo-divine domain." A divine domain? Nangonghao mused, for this was precisely what he lacked. Although he could evade a divine domain by transforming into chaos, it ultimately remained a mere evasion. While it could facilitate ambushes, once a divine Saint King unleashed their domain, escape would be futile. If he possessed the Zouqian Qin, could he not replicate the power of a divine domain? At that point, even a divine Saint King would no longer pose a significant threat. Nangonghao smiled faintly. "I shall accept this treasure." With this, Princess Mo Ning relaxed entirely and remarked, "Then we are square, yes?" "Indeed," Nangonghao replied, not wishing to encourage further closeness with her. Yet, he recalled the words of his future self, who had spoken of pursuing the princess of the undefeated dynasty. Who, after all, was she? "Could you provide me with information about all the princesses of your undefeated dynasty?" Nangonghao inquired. Princess Mo Ning looked at him with skepticism. "Are you planning to participate in the martial contest for marriage?" "What?" Nangonghao responded, puzzled. "You weren't aware? The Divine Emperor has over 20 princesses, 10 of whom have reached adulthood and are ready for marriage. However, due to the opening of the Legacy realm, the Divine Emperor has decided to host a martial contest for marriage. Whoever can obtain unprecedented benefits within the Legacy realm will have the opportunity to wed a princess. In fact, if someone secures the legacy of a great emperor, they could marry all 10 princesses at once." Princess Mo Ning regarded Nangonghao with a mix of curiosity and tension. "Will you participate?" It seemed Nangonghao had just learned of this event. The Divine Emperor has executed this maneuver with remarkable finesse. In the Land of Inheritance, a martial competition is held to seek a spouse. Whoever reaps the most benefits shall become the son-in-law. In the end, the princess will marry into a reputable family, ensuring that the advantages do not fall into the hands of outsiders. Truly, he is deserving of the title of emperor, playing the game with great skill. Chapter 309. The assembly of the troops, preparing to depart. Princess Imo Ning has been fixated on Nan Gonghao, her delicate teeth nibbling at her crimson lip, revealing her anxiety. She is dreadfully afraid of hearing Nan Gonghao express his intention to participate in the martial competition for marriage. After all, even the divine emperor has openly stated his desire to adopt him as a son. Surely, the princesses must be exceedingly eager to wed him. Moreover, with Nan Gonghao's formidable strength, he is bound to emerge victorious in the competition. In admiration of the divine emperor's strategy, Nan Gonghao remains silent. Princess Imo Ning, growing increasingly anxious, cannot help but plead, "Could you refrain from participating in the martial competition for marriage?" Upon hearing this, Chu Yutan and Yin Wushuang both turn their gazes toward Princess Imo Ning. Yin Wushuang, possessing a cold demeanor and lacking in emotional understanding, fails to grasp the implications of Princess Imo Ning's words. Yet Chu Yutan, with her keen insight, perceives the flicker of affection in Imo Ning's eyes as she gazes at Nan Gonghao. She recalls how previously Princess Imo Ning had exhibited such haughty arrogance. To her surprise, she now displays vulnerability and a desperate plea for him not to marry a princess. Nan Gonghao, puzzled, looks at Princess Imo Ning and asks, "Why should I not go?" Imo Ning lowers her head, unsure of how to articulate her feelings. Even she herself does not comprehend why she harbors such resistance to Nan Gonghao's participation in the competition. Still a naive girl untouched by love, she remains oblivious to her own feelings for him. She only knows that the thought of Nan Gonghao entering the competition feels akin to losing something precious. This is a sentiment she has never encountered before. Nan Gonghao, not considering her emotions, casually states, "Never mind, I never intended to participate anyway." Princess Imo Ning's face lights up with joy. "Really?" "Of course." Nan Gonghao responds with a nonchalant nod. Just as Princess Imo Ning revels in her happiness, a figure gracefully appears beside her. It is Xian Hiyu, who has not been seen for quite some time. She recently acquired the title of Divine Sage from the Feng Shan Bang, and has been busy stabilizing her realm after experiencing various tribulations. "You emerged at just the right moment. Did you sense something?" Nan Gonghao inquires. Xian Hiyu's father is the great emperor who sacrificed himself for the Guang Yuan Tianyu. Although she may not fully understand her father's position, she should be able to sense something. "I have some premonitions. It feels as though something significant is about to occur." Xian Hiyu sighs. "It has already happened." Que you t'en souffles interject. The Shang-Mo sect has been compelled to swear oaths and resist the beings from the outer realms with their lives, and they have now relocated entirely to the land of inheritance. Xian Hiyu is taken aback. "Why?" Chu Yutan glances at Nan Gonghao, and upon realizing the implications, Xian Hiyu offers a wry smile. "That makes sense. Who else could possess such capability besides you?" Nan Gonghao calmly replies this time, "If you enter, you will undoubtedly attract attention, and it will be perilous. I am aware, but I have a foreboding feeling that if I do not enter this time, there may not be another opportunity," Xian Hiyu states resolutely. Nan Gonghao says nothing further and turns to return to his residence, followed by the others. As everyone busies themselves with preparations, Nan Gonghao sets down 2 of his duplicates. He has an inkling that those beings from the outer realms might seize the opportunity to stir trouble during his absence. Thus, he decides to leave a duplicate to reside in the academy, as he can manipulate it across vast distances. This is the most enigmatic aspect of the duplicating path. Even if a duplicate body exists, one can transfer their soul into it, unafraid of death. Soon, the day of departure arrives. The academy organizes 10 teams, each consisting of 300 individuals, comprising scholars, students, inspectors, and divine guardians. The 10 teams are evenly divided, without regard to strength, faction, or race. Nan Gonghao is assigned to the 10th team. When the members of the 10th team learn that he will be accompanying them, they are filled with trepidation. Setting aside Nan Gonghao's ability to cause trouble, the sheer number of his enemies is daunting. If they truly accompany him, the 10th team is bound to face misfortune. With this thought, the members of the 10th team grow increasingly anxious. They are lined up by the Academy's teleportation array, where restlessness begins to stir among the ranks. Whispers circulate about how to transfer Nan Gonghao to another team. The 10th team is led by 3 scholars, all of whom are divine saints. After all, the Wuwa level is no longer suitable for entry into the land of inheritance, which is an unspoken rule among the various celestial realms. At this moment, the 3 scholars of the 10th team exchange glances upon hearing the students' objections. However, they still refuse the students' requests. After all, if the 10th team does not want Nan Gonghao, would any other team be willing? If all teams reject him, he will undoubtedly act independently, leading to even more outrageous actions. At the very least, being part of the team allows for some degree of restraint. With this reasoning, the three scholars approach Nan Gonghao. Nan Gong Inspector, I am Zhou Yin of the Yinyang School. I hope you will follow the team's orders this time. An elder clad in a half-black, half-white robe speaks solemnly. The Yinyang School is one of the top sects among the myriad schools. Xiao Yan is particularly renowned. Nan Gonghao has no grievances against him, and he is merely adhering to the academy's directives. As an inspector escorting students, he is obliged to follow the scholar's commands while on the journey. Nan Gonghao naturally does not oppose, all right. Xiao Yan is somewhat surprised by Nan Gonghao's agreeable demeanor. The two other scholars beside him also find it curious. One of them, Yu Junpei of the Lizhong School, uncertainly asks, are you genuinely acquiescing, or merely appeasing us for the moment? If your orders are not egregiously wrong, I will comply, Nan Gonghao reassures them. While the three scholars remain skeptical, they breathe a sigh of relief. This is merely a minor episode and does not attract significant attention. As the 10th team of the academy assembles, it is not the chief instructor who addresses them, but rather a sage from the Confucian school. The sage, aged and frail, stands as if a flickering candle in the wind, ready to extinguish at any moment. Yet, upon seeing this venerable elder, everyone stands in respect, their posture straight, awaiting his words. The elder ascends the platform slowly, his murky gaze sweeping over the assembly, revealing a satisfied smile, vibrant and unparalleled talents. You are the future of Guang Yuan Tianyu. I hope you return laden with success. Thank you, Wensheng. The students, and even the scholars, respectfully respond. The elder smiles and gradually scans the crowd, ultimately fixing his gaze on Nan Gonghao. However, he merely observes for a few moments before turning away. While others remain oblivious, Nan Gonghao senses this attention. Yet, he does not take it to heart. He has already made a name for himself in Guang Yuan Tianyu. Whether someone gazes at him for a moment longer or stares unblinkingly, it is hardly surprising. Chapter 3:10. The Convergence of Great Powers. Seeking provocation, the Academy's exhortation does not last long. It merely covers some essential points to note. Among the most serious admonitions is the directive to avoid provoking disciples of the Shang Mo sect. The disciples have resolved to sacrifice their lives to enter the land of inheritance. Regardless of their reasons, they are to be regarded as noble. Therefore, under such circumstances, as long as they do not actively harm other disciples of Guang Yuan Tianyu, they are not to be provoked. Of course, these are mere platitudes. In essence, it is a declaration that the Shang Mo sect has no path of retreat left. They all understand that they are destined for death. In such circumstances, they would undoubtedly seek someone to blame. If left unprovoked, perhaps matters would remain manageable. However, should someone dare to provoke them, they would surely lash out with fervor. In this scenario, all eyes turned sympathetically towards the Shijue team, for the Shangma sect harbored a deep-seated animosity towards Nan Gonghao. It was certain that they would be the first to seek trouble with him. The members of the Shijue team shared this apprehension, their anxiety palpable as they lamented their misfortune. Soon enough, the team set forth. The teleportation array activated, transporting them directly to the outskirts of the place of inheritance. The familiar expanse of wasteland greeted them, albeit with an even larger gathering of people. The 7 foremost powers stood at the forefront, while the other factions lingered behind, accompanied by various other races, including the Qing Shi and Baixiang clans. Even the 4 marginal regions sent representatives, and newcomers from the Donghuang domain arrived to witness the spectacle. After all, they could not remain confined to one place forever. It was vital to engage with the wider world. As the members of the Jixia Academy stepped out of the teleportation array, they immediately attracted attention. All beings turned to search for Nan Gonghao, fixating their gazes upon him. While the Jixia Academy often commanded respect due to their high status, the scrutiny they faced now was decidedly unfriendly, instilling a sense of tension even among them. The Shijue team, in particular, was so nervous that they began to sweat. In stark contrast, Nan Gonghao appeared utterly nonchalant as he accompanied everyone to the designated area of the Jixia Academy, a place with a broad view. The academy had established its base here, utilizing a sacred palace as their headquarters. Many students entered to register before visiting family and friends, though they were cautioned not to stray too far. Despite the gates of the inheritance site remaining closed for several hours, no one could predict if they might open early. Once all the students had registered, they promptly dispersed, some sought out their family members, while others sought old acquaintances. Nan Gonghao initially intended to remain inside, for he felt no fondness for this place, nor did he sense any warmth from its inhabitants. However, as he immersed himself in quiet cultivation, a servant arrived to inform him of a visitor. Without lifting an eyelid, Nan Gonghao instructed, "Tell them, those who seek to provoke need not come." The patrol envoy claims to be a disciple of the Ying sect. The servant hesitated. Nan Gonghao paused momentarily, then slowly opened his eyes, replying indifferently, "Please, let them in." The servant hurriedly exited to escort the guest. Only one person entered, a strikingly beautiful woman clad in silver armor that accentuated her graceful figure. Exuding an air of domineering beauty, Nan Gonghao cast a cursory glance at her and nodded slightly, "Greetings." The woman scrutinized Nan Gonghao in return, smiling warmly. "I am Shui Wanwan, the senior sister of the Ying sect. You may call me Wanwan Jia." Had any members of the Shima sect been present, they would have been utterly astonished. Shui Wanwan, the undisputed first disciple of the Ying sect, was renowned for her exceptional talent and formidable prowess. There was a tale of how, upon being teased about her constant armor-wearing, she exacted brutal retribution, leading to the annihilation of an entire second-rate family and the gruesome punishment of the offender. Such was the extent of her wrath. Like Nan Gonghao, she had faced perilous pursuits due to her fierce demeanor, ultimately subduing various top-tier experts and renowned prodigies, who became mere stepping stones on her path to glory. In this moment, however, Shui Wanwan approached Nan Gonghao with a smile, inviting him to address her as sister. This demeanor was unprecedented, even among her numerous admirers, leaving them astounded. Yet, Nan Gonghao simply regarded Shui Wanwan coolly, asking, "Do you require something?" Shui Wanwan unveiled a charming smile. "Indeed, you possess a temperament that appeals to me. I have just returned from the ancestral grounds of the Ying sect, where I met Shui Yao. Her talent is extraordinary, and many elders hold high expectations for her, believing her achievements may rival my own. Alas, she is troubled by her feelings for a certain Nan Gonghao, and I am genuinely curious to see what kind of man could divert such a prodigy from her path of cultivation. To be honest, before I learned your name, I had intended to confront you. However, upon discovering your remarkable feats, I realized you indeed deserve Shui Yao." Despite receiving compliments, Nan Gonghao exhibited no signs of pleasure, merely frowning and asking, "Is this all you wish to discuss?" Shui Wanwan raised an eyebrow. "What? Is that unacceptable? Very well, then, let us have some tea." Nan Gonghao slowly closed his eyes, returning to his meditation. Meanwhile, Shui Wanwan was seated nearby, served tea, yet found the scene amusing. Typically, men would swarm around her, vying for her attention, but none had ever dared to treat her so indifferently. Nan Gonghao was the first. However, she was no naive girl enchanted by his uniqueness. She discerned that his disinterest was genuine. What an arrogant fellow he was. With a chuckle, Shui Wanwan decided to take her leave, having merely come to ascertain whether Nan Gonghao was as formidable as the legend suggested. Satisfied with her findings, she departed. Once Shui Wanwan exited, Nan Gonghao's solitude was short-lived. Others began to arrive, not merely from various factions seeking confrontation, but also those wishing to avenge their kin. Many children of esteemed families had been training within the Shima sect and, due to Nan Gonghao's exposure, had suffered grave consequences. Thus, the misfortune of the Shima sect was not theirs alone. Countless affiliated forces bore the brunt of the fallout, including many powerful first-rate factions. Numerous second-rate factions also sent their entire families to confront him, all gathered at the entrance of the Jixia Academy, demanding an explanation from Nan Gonghao. Chapter 311. Did a larger gathering equate to greater wisdom? Over 300 factions, comprising thousands of individuals, congregated at the Jixia Academy's entrance. Among them were divine beings and those of royal lineage. The sheer number created an oppressive atmosphere, akin to dark clouds looming overhead, placing considerable pressure on the Jixia Academy. Yet, these individuals did not cause a ruckus. They stood solemnly at the Academy's entrance, coldly demanding that Nan Gonghao provide them with an account. The onlookers from other factions eagerly awaited the unfolding drama. It was anticipated that Nan Gonghao's actions against the Shengma sect would incite considerable trouble. But the timing of this confrontation, just before entering the place of inheritance, was unexpected. Who would not wish to witness such entertainment? Moreover, if these factions engaged in internal strife, it could reduce competition. The scholars and students of the Jixia Academy felt a sense of helplessness. Zhou Yan of the Shijua team immediately dispatched someone to summon Nan Gonghao, despite their belief that he might be reluctant to appear. Even if he did, it was likely to be confrontational. However, the Academy, could not remain silent regarding Nan Gonghao's predicament. To their astonishment, Nan Gonghao indeed emerged, standing calmly at the entrance of the academy, gazing at the formidable crowd before him. Upon seeing Nan Gonghao, the crowd erupted in anger. Their ire stemmed not from mere personal grievances, but from the fact that the Shengma sect was a supreme power, and the disciples they had sent for training were their most promising talents, the hopes of their factions. However, at this moment, Nan Gonghao has extinguished their hopes. Who will not be enraged? Nan Gonghao, how dare you show your face? You scoundrel, it is all you're doing. Why must you ruin our family? Indeed, you constantly claim that there are beings from the outer realm here and there, but how can we trust you? I have heard that a being from the outer realm is right beside you. How can you still act so arrogantly? Today, either you die to atone for your sins, or you provide us with a reasonable explanation. Yes, we demand an explanation. 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 A throng of individuals angrily rebuked Nan Gonghao, their clamor echoing like thunder, with some even eager to rush forward, causing the scene to spiral out of control. The onlookers, witnessing this spectacle, were filled with schadenfreude, eager to see how Nan Gonghao would extricate himself from his predicament. Even the scholars from Jixiao Academy found themselves at a loss, pondering how to manage this situation. Nan Gonghao stood calmly in place, motionless, observing the tumult without interference or explanation, his expression indifferent, as his countenance remained unchanged. The several divine saint kings who had led these families began to feel uneasy. They had intended to leverage their numbers to pressure Nan Gonghao, yet he appeared entirely unfazed. Their strategy had backfired. A tall, slender man at the forefront whispered, "Prepare the second plan." The others nodded in agreement, relaying the message until the uproar was swiftly quelled. At this juncture, the tall man stepped forward, coldly regarding Nan Gonghao, and inquired, "Do you know who I am? I suggest you speak directly. If you make me guess, I shall only belittle you further." Nan Gonghao replied apathetically. Upon hearing this, the tall man scoffed, indeed sharp-tongued. "Since you can only insult, there is no need for you to know who I am. Just recognize that you have harmed the families of us all." The others immediately echoed his sentiments with shouts. Nan Gonghao calmly regarded the tall man, awaiting his next words. The tall man pressed forth. "Do you not intend to provide us with an explanation?" "What explanation?" Nan Gonghao asked. "You incessantly assert that the Shengma sect harbors beings from the outer realm. Yes, you have exposed more than 100 traitors. But does that imply that all are traitors? Just because of your words, the Shengma sect has become the target of all, and in their desperation, many innocent individuals were forced to enter the land of inheritance. Do you not perceive your wrongs?" The tall man reprimanded sternly. Others were equally incensed, with some even tearing up, their eyes reddening. Yet Nan Gonghao merely shook his head. "I possess the ability to identify beings from the outer realm, without question. So I must caution you. The elder behind you is an undercover agent from the outer realm." Upon hearing this, the tall man was taken aback, hastily retreating. Not only him, but others also quickly distanced themselves from the elderly figure with graying hair. The elder, branded by Nan Gonghao as a being from the outer realm, was filled with terror, hastily declaring, I am not a being from the outer realm." "Indeed, he is not," Nan Gonghao nodded. "I merely wish to see if you truly do not mind having beings from the outer realm among you. This elder is your accomplice, here to trouble me alongside you. Yet you do not trust him at all. One word from me, and you all scurry away. The Shengma sect looks down upon you, even disdainful of accompanying you. How can you then believe that there are innocents among them?" Upon hearing this, the faces of those who had come to interrogate him turned ashen. They had prepared themselves to deny all of Nan Gonghao's explanations before arriving, but unexpectedly, they fell into his trap. The scholars from Jixiao Academy and other onlookers sighed. Sometimes, a battle of wits does not simply favor the many. The tall man, witnessing Nan Gonghao turn the tide with almost a single sentence, gritted his teeth. "On what grounds can you assert that there is not a single innocent among the Shengma sect?" "There are undoubtedly," Nan Gonghao conceded. The tall man revealed a glimmer of joy. "Then you have indeed committed wrongdoing, right? To those innocents, I must express my apologies." Nan Gonghao truly admitted fault. Is an apology sufficient? You have caused them to perish." The tall man pressed on, seeking to make Nan Gonghao pay a price. The onlookers in the distance frowned. They had anticipated that Nan Gonghao would quibble or outright deny the existence of innocence. Yet now, he openly acknowledged their existence and even apologized. Did this not provide them with a handle to grasp? Many of the onlooking prodigies showed expressions of doubt and disdain, deeming Nan Gonghao to be all talk without substance. To yield so easily under pressure? Utterly pathetic. Even the scholars from Jixiao Academy furrowed their brows, looking at Nan Gonghao with confusion, eager to see how he would defend himself. Nan Gonghao gazed at those demanding a price and stated, "I apologize because those individuals are indeed innocent. Yet their demise is also justified. The Shengma sect was their stronghold, providing for their needs and teaching them cultivation. Now that the Shengma sect faces calamity, it is only fitting that they demonstrate their loyalty through sacrifice. Thus, those innocents must follow suit to repay the favor of cultivation extended by the Shengma sect. Therefore, the deaths of those innocents stem from their obligation to the Shengma sect. This matter has nothing to do with me. They were merely fulfilling their duty. Of course, you might also argue that your own disciples have never needed to be loyal, nor do they understand gratitude, being selfish and greedy. Their willingness to sacrifice is not out of solidarity with the Shengma sect in adversity, but rather out of coercion." Chapter 3:12. Nan Gonghao actively challenges the ancient lands. With Nan Gonghao's words, he left everyone speechless. After all, he exalted the character of the Shengma sect disciples. He also uplifted the character of these individuals, their families' offspring. In order to stand with the Shengma sect through thick and thin, would rather die than yield. How noble is that? Yet now, these noble offspring's families come to trouble Nan Gonghao. Is this not treachery? This is what is known as praise killing. To elevate one high, and if they are unworthy of their position, they will be mocked to death. At this moment, as Nan Gonghao spoke, those families seeking trouble had no choice but to retreat. Their offspring were still alive and needed honor and face. Their families had already lost their prodigies and required respect and dignity. Thus, even those who had come in a fierce throng, despite their discontent, had to obediently close their mouths. Even the foremost divine, saint kings found themselves at a loss for words. They endured their frustration for a while, until finally, the tall man recalled some retort, solemnly stating, "If the disciples of the Shengma sect are so noble, should you not repay them?" Clearly, this was an attempt to extort some benefit. Nan Gonghao smiled. "Have I not already apologized? Simply apologizing is insufficient. You ought to offer substantial reparations." The tall man reprimanded. "Very well, then, you are vassals of the Shengma sect, wishing to avenge the Shengma sect or its disciples, correct?" Nan Gonghao taunted. The tall man felt something was off, but instinctively nodded. "Yes, what of it? In that case, allow me to help you retrieve what the Shengma sect has lost." The 6 strongest factions present and numerous powerful forces had all participated in the siege against the Shengma sect stronghold. The Shengma sect now sacrifices itself to prove its innocence. This indicates that their previous plunder of the Shengma sect's resources was unjust. According to your demands, my substantial reparation will be to assist you in reclaiming those resources. Nan Gonghao remained unusually composed. However, upon hearing this, an uproar erupted around him, particularly among the onlookers, for they all knew that the frenzy during the removal of the Shengma sect's stronghold implicated every being present. This meant that with a single statement, Nan Gonghao had offended all beings, yet it mattered not. He had already made enemies of all. However, he can withstand it, yet those who seek trouble cannot. The surrounding beings cast unfriendly glances. After all, if it were not for these individuals' provocations, why would Nan Gonghao bring up old grievances? While Nan Gonghao certainly deserves punishment, these troublemakers are also complicit enablers. Upon witnessing this, the tall, thin man and the numerous forces behind him realized they had inadvertently become the target of Nan Gonghao's words. In that moment, tension and fear gripped them. They hurriedly gestured to the unfriendly onlookers, indicating that they had no intention of returning. Some, unable to bear the pressure, quietly slipped away. One led, followed by 2, then 3 and 4. Before long, all of them had departed. Even the tall, thin man merely shot a fierce glare at Nan Gonghao, muttering a begrudged "you're something else" before leaving. Observing this, Nan Gonghao disdainfully shook his head, suggesting they should resort to direct action in the future rather than engage in futile mind games. This remark caused those who had not gone far to clench their fists in frustration, their teeth grinding. The onlooking beings sighed softly. Nan Gonghao, a prodigious talent, possessed extraordinary cunning. Had it not been for the Tianqian Sheni, one could only wonder how far he might ascend. Yet, the more remarkable he became, the more wary the others grew of him. Many gazed at him with palpable, murderous intent. The scholars from the Xuegong felt their hearts tremble for Nan Gonghao. Yet, he calmly returned to his quarters, aware that many wished for his demise. But what of it? No one could kill him. After this farce, nothing further transpired. Time trickled by. Soon, the gates to the land of inheritance swung open. A resounding voice echoed from the ancient realm. "The gates are open. all beings may enter, but any intent to harm one another will be met with punishment upon your families. Upon hearing this, many beings felt a chill. Previously, there had been no such warnings when entering the land of inheritance. Clearly, the ancient realm recognized that this inheritance battle was no ordinary affair, and thus they sought to consolidate their strength against the invaders. However, just as all beings prepared to enter, the voice from the ancient realm rang out once more, except for Nangong Hao. At this declaration, an uproar ensued among the crowd. They turned to gaze at the place where Nangong Hao stood. The ancient realm intended to hunt him down, issuing such a biased command on the spot. Yet, no one protested. Firstly, there was no reason to offend the ancient realm for Nangong Hao's sake. Secondly, they too wished to see him dead. Many waited in anticipation of Nangong Hao's counteraction. Although he initially had no desire to engage, upon noticing the anxious expressions of the 10 teams of scholars nearby, he halted and remarked, "There is an issue with the ancient realm, is there not?" This statement left the crowd astounded. What did he mean? Even the formidable powers of the top factions turned pale. Some openly scolded, "Nangong Hao, do not speak foolishly. The ancient realm has been passed down since ancient times. A final hope for all beings. How could anything go amiss?" Many nodded in agreement. Although the authority of the ancient realm had waned in recent years, it did not imply calamity awaited them. They still hoped to take refuge in the ancient realm after the collapse of the Guanyuan Tianyu. How could they be willing to believe that something had gone wrong there? Yet Nangong Hao responded, "I initially did not wish to speak, but seeing your complacent demeanor, I felt compelled to offer a reminder. You ought to fight with all your might. Truly believing that the ancient realm will protect you after the collapse of the Guanyuan Tianyu, the ancient realm openly issued a decree against my death, which is understandable. After all, their status is exalted, and they cannot act carelessly. But none of you are capable of killing me, and the ancient realm has yet to intervene. Why is that? It is undoubtedly because they fear that should they personally attempt to strike me down and fail, it would reflect poorly on them, confirming their own issues. Most importantly, the ancient realm decreed that the beings of the Guanyuan Tianyu may not harm one another, yet uniquely excluded me. This will undoubtedly raise eyebrows. After all, the ancient realm, so esteemed, resorts to such means against a mere youth, leading others to perceive them as contradictory and petty, unworthy of authority. The ancient realm would rather risk public scorn than refrain from such measures. It is evident that they face internal strife, rendering them incapable of executing my demise. If you doubt my words, I stand here. Does the ancient realm wish to send someone to fight me? Chapter 3:13. The ancient realm's retreat. Nangong Hao stood there, cold and disdainful. Truly, the ancient realm had lost face. They had previously pursued him multiple times, even launching personal ambushes. Nangong Hao had chosen to disregard them, preoccupied with his own affairs, as they seldom emerged. Yet this time, they had singled him out. Nangong Hao cared not, since the ancient realm sought death. He would grant them that opportunity. Observing the bewildered expressions of the surrounding beings, he understood they were relying on the ancient realm, believing they could seek refuge there when calamity struck. Now, Nangong Hao aimed to shatter their delusions, making it clear that fighting with all their might could lead to survival, while inaction would only lead to demise. In face of Nangong Hao's challenges and pressures, many beings cried out in anger, denouncing his arrogance and provoking the ancient realm. Yet, a greater number of beings watched with cold detachment. Speculations regarding issues within the ancient realm had circulated among many. Thus, they were eager to witness whether the ancient realm dared to respond. Amidst the cacophony of insults, the ancient realm's voice emerged. Nangong Hao, I intended to grant you a chance at survival, yet you do not recognize your peril. My kin have already entered the land of inheritance, waiting to take your life. Many beings displayed expressions of ridicule. Now the ancient realm was truly taking action. Nangong Hao had sought benevolence, and now would find only death. Let us see how he maintains his arrogance. Indeed, he must believe the ancient realm is in turmoil to act so brazenly. Yet it is clear they are not in disarray. The ancient realm's elite must be terrifying. Nangong Hao is doomed. He deserves this for his ignorance. A chorus of derision ensued, clearly expressing their dissatisfaction with Nangong Hao. However, he merely interrupted them coldly, calling out from a distance, "Spare me your idle chatter. If the ancient realm is not cowardly, let them come now and fight me here." The crowd gasped in astonishment. What was happening? Was Nangong Hao genuinely intent on forcing the ancient realm to show themselves? How could he be so resolute? Did he possess the confidence to win? Or did he truly know the ancient realm was in disarray? In that moment, those who had steadfastly believed in the ancient realm began to waver. Even the major factions awaited in silence. They knew more than Nangong Hao, and how the ancient realm responded would determine their standing in the future. Faced with Nangong Hao's relentless pressure, someone could no longer contain themselves and stepped forward to appease the ancient realm. Nangong Hao, you are too arrogant. The ancient realm is far from here. How could they arrive at any moment? You seek a challenge? Then let me accompany you. Nangong Hao glanced at the individual, realizing he was a divine-level Shengren Wang. It was indeed this caliber that dared to provoke him. Should the ancient realm truly allow you to act, I would gladly accept. It is utterly laughable that, after being pursued for so long, they would casually send a mere trifle my way. Nangong Hao stood in high regard. At that moment, the formidable Shengren Wang was engulfed in fury, bellowing as he prepared to charge forward. However, to his astonishment, as he took a single step, he found himself utterly immobilized. What was happening? The Shengren Wang was engulfed in terror, feeling as though an immense mountain had descended upon him, rendering him unable to move. Someone had covertly intervened to obstruct him. The Shengren Wang wished to question whether it was the disciples of the Shuigong, but soon realized he could not even voice his thoughts. All beings awaited the Shengren Wang to chastise Nangong Hao, yet after a prolonged silence, they observed him standing motionless. His expression distinctly askew, leaving them all in a state of confusion. What was the meaning of this? Seeing the situation unfold, Nangong Hao sneered. It appears that esteemed individuals are also curious whether there are issues in the ancient lands. Thus, have the denizens of the ancient realm taken notice? Do not dawdle. No one outside will assist you further. If you wish to prove yourselves, send someone forth. Even if you dispatch a Wu-level Shengren Wang to strike me down, so be it. While spoken lightly, everyone present understood the gravity of the statement. The ancient lands could not afford to act in such a manner, nor would they dare to, for should they send forth a Wu-level Shengren Wang, they would be left utterly humiliated. The whispers would spread, questioning how an expanse as vast as the ancient lands could lack a prodigy capable of contending with Nangong Hao. Once more, the ancient lands fell into silence. They truly chose not to respond. Were they attempting to summon their prodigies, or had they genuinely conceded defeat? Nangong Hao remained unperturbed, resolutely standing his ground. Time trickled away, and soon over a quarter of an hour had elapsed. The prolonged silence spoke volumes. Someone could no longer contain themselves and suggested, let us abandon this pursuit. The realm of inheritance has long been open, and perhaps the beings from outside have already reaped its benefits. We should enter as well. It was evident that this was an attempt to provide the ancient lands a graceful exit. Many feared to provoke the ancient land's ire, or were reluctant to acknowledge that even they could falter. Thus, they all chimed in unison, urging entry into the realm of inheritance. The clamor for departure grew louder, yet few made any actual moves. Nangong Hao, standing with his hands clasped behind him, faced the void with calmness. Rubbish. These two words, though softly spoken, resonated like thunder in the hearts of the multitude. The ancient lands, long regarded as exalted, were now belittled to mere refuse by youth. Yet, they dare not retaliate? Such an upheaval shattered many souls. They could neither bear nor accept it. Even those from formidable factions could not help but wear grave expressions, though they had anticipated the plight of the ancient lands. Witnessing its cowardice weighed heavily upon them. If even the ancient lands could not be relied upon, what places remained trustworthy? Some had already succumbed to tears. The invasion of beings from beyond had left them with but one last hope, the ancient lands. Now, with such events unfolding, what were they to do? Observing these feeble, enraged, and indifferent souls, Nangong Hao chose not to elaborate further. Instead, he led the way towards the realm of inheritance. The earlier standoff had already determined the victor. There was no need to squander more time for the sake of the ancient lands. Witnessing his departure, many sighed and followed suit. This transmission of inheritance might well mark the onset of the downfall of the Guangyuan Tianyu. They must seize greater resources. Chapter 314. Entering the Demon Valley. Surrounded by evil spirits, these beings swiftly traversed the passage, pouring into the ancient lands. Nangong Hao entered alongside the disciples of the Jixia Shuigong. Throughout this process, the ancient lands remained silent, extinguishing any flickers of hope among the multitude. In that moment, they finally comprehended that the ancient lands were also in disarray and could no longer assist them. This led to two distinct phenomena. One faction of beings chose to abandon all hope. They ceased their cultivation disregarding everything, and began to engage in wanton misdeeds, squandering their lives recklessly. Conversely, another faction dedicated themselves to rigorous training, hoping to contribute when calamity struck or to escape this world through formidable strength. Naturally, there were those contemplating treachery and others who continued with their daily lives. The multitude of beings was diverse and varied. Nan Gonghao had anticipated this and paid little heed to them. He did not expect everyone to strive diligently. He merely wished for those with capability to recognize the impending danger and respond accordingly. As for the self-destructive individuals who would care to engage with them, there was little time to save the world, let alone to uplift those who had given up. Upon entering the realm of inheritance, the 10 teams of the Shuigong dispersed. One faction headed to the Divine Tomb, another to the Eye of the Storm, while yet another set their sights on the Demon Valley. Coincidentally, the 10th team was bound for the direction of the Demon Valley. Nan Gonghao understood that there must be some special arrangements at play. He did not ponder too deeply, simply following the team onward. The beings that had entered also divided into several groups, hastening towards these 3 locales most likely to harbor treasures. The Demon Valley, while referred to as a valley, was in fact a vast pit. It appeared as though it had been formed by a meteor strike, an irregularly shaped chasm. A purple-black mist swirled above it, continuously roiling, with ominous howls faintly emanating from within. This was the great pit created when the Palace of Reincarnation fell, situated at the very bottom from which this mist flowed. Legend has it that this was the Jiuyou Mingqi, which could impact the soul. Therefore, one must exercise utmost caution and avoid contact. Zhou Yin, at the forefront of the group, cautioned, "Be wary of the mist. There are many beings from beyond within it." The students of the 10th team gasped with excitement upon hearing this. The Palace of Reincarnation, the legendary supreme force, said to surpass even the Qianji Pavilion. Consequently, they had been the primary target during that horrific invasion war. The Palace of Reincarnation spared no effort, even opting for self-destruction of their foundation, so that their entire force could enter the realm of inheritance and obliterate the enemy's main offensive powers. This sacrifice had bought time for the other factions to create emperors. It was also said that the power of the Palace of Reincarnation was crucial in this endeavor. Whoever could obtain the legacy of the Palace of Reincarnation and ascend as an emperor would be assured of success. Yet, Nan Gonghao did not share the optimism of these individuals. He interjected, "There are numerous beings from beyond within the mist." The crowd was taken aback. Following the earlier exposure of the Shengma sect, no one doubted Nan Gonghao's ability to detect the presence of foreign beings. However, someone quickly reacted, "Are there many beings from beyond in the mist? Do they not fear it? They do fear it, which is why they perished. I caution you that the beings from beyond have never relinquished their attempts to invade." Nan Gonghao replied calmly. At these words, a chill swept through the hearts of the crowd. The realm of inheritance was divided into east and west, with various forces acting as barriers to prevent the two sides from intermingling. Only the most powerful or exceptionally talented prodigies could barely traverse these obstructions to engage in cross-domain battles. Yet, at this moment, within the mist belonging to the Guangyuan Tianyu, many beings from beyond were present. Did this imply that those who had perished were prodigies? Certainly not. It merely indicated that they had begun to invade at will. The Jixia Shuigong was the pinnacle of human cultivation sanctuaries, now invaded by beings from beyond. The Shengma sect, one of the 7 supreme forces, had also fallen victim to this incursion. Even ancient lands were experiencing turmoil. Now, the realm of inheritance was also facing rampant invasion. The severity of the situation had seemingly surpassed everyone's imagination. The expressions of all students in the 10th team turned grave. Even distant beings could not help but engage in hushed discussions. However, the task at hand must still be undertaken. One by one, they ventured into the Mo-gu, continuously descending. The valley earned its ominous name due to the presence of malevolent spirits, said to have originated from the MOU. The MOU, a realm akin to the Tiangang Disha world, possesses notable differences. In the Tiangang Disha world, only cultivators can practice, while those entities wishing to escape face insurmountable odds. However, the MOU is distinct. The spirits can emerge, though it is difficult for cultivators to enter. The malevolent spirits that escape are formidable and exceedingly difficult to vanquish. At that moment, as the multitude progressed, malevolent spirits surged forth from a mist. A girl, caught off guard, was seized by one of these spirits, and she screamed in terror as she struggled. Before she could resist, the spirit bit through her neck, dragging her into the mist, accompanied by the gruesome sounds of consumption. Many beings were filled with dread at the sight. According to records, these malevolent spirits devour other beings to cultivate and enhance their own power. Unlike the path of devouring, they consume flesh and blood in a most visceral manner. Be cautious. Zoyan cautioned once more. Yet he refrained from elaborating, for if these ordinary malevolent spirits could inflict harm, the expedition would be in vain. The other beings were palpably tense. Another spirit burst forth with a roar, lunging at the crowd. Some were fierce, hunched black-skinned monstrosities, while others were towering humanoids, muscles rippling with immense strength. Some were covered in spikes, self-destructing amidst the throng. Such is the nature of the malevolent spirits, irrational and devoid of reason. Many wandering cultivators were left utterly exhausted by these relentless spirits, yet the larger factions remained unaffected, maintaining their formation and advancing swiftly. The path was not particularly wide, and the pervasive mist was pushed aside by precious artifacts. However, as they delved deeper, the spirits emerging from the fog grew increasingly powerful. At last, casualties among the formidable factions occurred. A massive, grotesque spirit resembling a mountain of flesh charged towards the Shui Gong's entourage. Zhou Yin and his companions did not intervene. Their role was to clear the path, while the task of exterminating the spirits belonged to the inspectors. 3 inspectors were present, one of whom was Nangong Hao. He rushed forward immediately, delivering a powerful punch to the flesh mountain, only to be astonished as his strength was absorbed by the creature. Clearly, this being possessed the ability to negate his power. Moreover, the spirit's body suddenly became pliable, akin to quicksand, swallowing Nangong Hao's fist into its flesh. Chapter 315. The Appearance of the Bianhua, a Call from Death. Nangong Hao's fist was drawn into the creature's body. Instantly, a corrosive force surged forth. The spirit's method of consuming other beings was indeed peculiar, yet regrettably, it had chosen the wrong target. With a slight tremor in his arm, Nangong Hao unleashed a counter-absorption technique. The flesh mountain did not manage to consume him. Instead, it was itself devoured. Nangong Hao absorbed the malevolent spirit and returned to the side of his group, inspecting the chaos of the Qing Lian. Strangely, he found that this spirit bore no trace of the Tao's power. Curious, he pondered whether malevolent spirits in the MOU truly did not cultivate the Tao's power. As this thought crossed his mind, the knowledge gained from countless tomes flooded into his consciousness. The structure of the malevolent spirits from the MOU was indeed peculiar. They do not cultivate the Tao's power. From their inception, they manifest unique powers, and over 90% lack the capacity for self-evolution. From birth to death, they may remain at the same level they were born into. This explains why, despite the MOU existing for endless epochs, there are but 18 demon kings. Is it a matter of innate ability? Nangong Hao murmured to himself. It bears resemblance to the holy spirits. What, then, is the nature of his father? He thought of his father, far away. They had once met across the expanse of time, and now he was uncertain of his parents' whereabouts. The group continued their advance, besieged by the spirits. As they ventured deeper into the MOU, an array of peculiar sounds emanated from the mist, akin to calls beckoning them inward. An elder of the Saint Realm, who had been advancing steadily, suddenly paused, tilting his ear to listen. His expression ignited with excitement as he exclaimed to those nearby, "My daughter is within." The others were taken aback. "Didn't your daughter go missing long ago?" "Indeed, I didn't expect her to be here, trapped within. She sensed my presence and called for my rescue." The elder was overwhelmed with joy and prepared to rush in. A strong figure sensed the danger and urgently cautioned, "Stop him." Immediately, those around seized the elder. Yet, he erupted in fury, resembling a ferocious demon, bellowing, "Let me go. My daughter awaits me inside." With a tremendous force, the elder repelled those beside him and charged heedlessly into the mist. Thereafter, he was never seen again. It was evident from the elder's state that the voice calling him was not that of his daughter. It was far more likely that it belonged to those spirits possessing special abilities. For it was not only the elder who heard the call, many others did as well, each hearing something different. Some heard the calls of lost lovers, others the summons of parents, some the whispers of artifact spirits, and even some the cries of emperors in distress. The calls emanating from a mist seemed to resonate with each person's deepest yearnings. As for Nangong Hao, he discerned the familiar call of his parents. The warm and familiar voice of Nangong Yi resonated through the mist, not in plea, but urging him to flee swiftly. Clearly, the malevolent spirits within the mist adeptly exploited human vulnerability. After all, should they entice Nangong Hao, it was conceivable that he might succumb to their lure. Yet, If they prompted his escape, he might entertain other thoughts. Unmoved, Nan Gonghao continued onward. The students employed various methods to maintain control over their hearts. Yet, as they progressed, the calls grew increasingly intense, with some experiencing vivid hallucinations. Observing the restless group, Nan Gonghao sighed and activated his Tian Minggong. A barrier of spiritual energy enveloped the heads of the students, instantly dispelling the calls and illusions from the mist. The students felt a sudden lightness, astonished by the change. Some of the stronger individuals sensed Nan Gonghao's intervention and cast him a glance without further comment. With the assistance of Tian Minggong, the Shuigong's contingent advanced rapidly. They ranked first, arriving at the deepest part of the Mo-gu, the valley's bottom. Here lay a stretch of dark red earth, stained by blood over countless years, transformed into this oppressive hue. Before the group could regain their footing, an unusual scent wafted through the air, something akin to decay, yet reminiscent of a peculiar fragrance, a complex sensation. Nan Gonghao activated his Tian Yin Tong to survey the surroundings and discovered the ground was adorned with flowers. These flowers were an eerie red, with slender petals and stamen-like tendrils drooping down. They swayed in the wind, appearing breathtakingly beautiful, yet exuding an undercurrent of despair. Nan Gonghao scanned the area and observed that the others could not see these flowers. Memories of their descriptions surfaced in his mind. The Baihua, flowers from the depths of hell, summon all dying beings. Nan Gonghao sighed softly. He removed the Tianyin Tong and gazed at the flowers, only to find them invisible. These blossoms existed between illusion and reality. The moment a living being could perceive them without the aid of divine powers, it signified the imminent demise of that individual. The words of Nan Gonghao sent a shiver through the hearts of those nearby. A place where the Bianhua flourished was certainly no sanctuary. At that moment, a young man exclaimed, "So many red flowers. Are these rare herbs?" Upon hearing this, those beside him swiftly recoiled. In the next instant, a colossal malevolent being erupted from a mist. Bang! The creature landed upon the young man, crushing him instantly. Then, its cold, sinister gaze swept over the multitude of beings. In that moment, many souls beheld the Bianhua, including several members of formidable factions. They were engulfed in terror, for seeing the Bianhua was tantamount to facing death. They hastily retreated, desperate to escape their fate. Observing their retreat, many powerful figures frowned. Yet, Nan Gonghao strode boldly toward the malevolent entity. Noticing this, Zhou Yin admonished, "Come back, do not provoke it. I have seen the Bianhua," Nan Gonghao replied, not looking back as he advanced. The expressions of the scholars shifted dramatically. They knew that Nan Gonghao possessed the Tianyin Tong, a supreme divine ability of the Buddhist sect, enabling him to perceive the Bianhua. However, now that Nan Gonghao claimed to have seen the flowers without the Tianyin Tong, it was clear that he was destined to die here. How could this be possible? Although the malevolent creature appeared formidable, it should not have been capable of claiming Nan Gonghao's life. He transformed into a streak of light and soared before the malevolent beast. The creature stood towering at over 30 meters, its bones protruding grotesquely, with barbed spines sprouting from its back and a maw larger than its head. As others retreated in fear, only Nan Gonghao charged forward. The malevolent being seemed provoked, letting out a furious roar and spewing forth a plume of green toxic mist, laden with corrosive properties. The caustic gas enveloped Nan Gonghao and the area around him. Hiss, 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 the ground began to smoke as a large pit formed from the corrosion. Yet, Nan Gonghao remained unfazed, a barrier shielding him from the corrosive effects. Subsequently, countless white wisps emanated from him, devouring divine power. These wisps attached themselves to the malevolent being, rapidly taking root and beginning to consume it. The creature roared in agony, its body writhing violently before erupting with an inky glow. This light continuously expelled the white wisps, attempting to cast them away. Alas, it was futile. The malevolent creature, witnessing its powers swiftly dissipating, succumbed to madness. It charged at Nan Gonghao, opening its enormous maw to unleash a torrent of green liquid. This liquid exploded into a cloud of vapor midair, capable of corroding even spiritual energy and spreading rapidly. The initially 1-meter diameter liquid expanded, enveloping the entire area in corrosive mist, effectively sealing Nan Gonghao within. Nearby, someone gasped, "This substance must not come into contact with spiritual energy, otherwise, it will only enhance its corrosive effect." In other words, it could corrode even the attacks that Nan Gonghao unleashed. How could they contend with this? It seemed they were left with no choice but to perish together. Many beings murmured among themselves, fearing for Nan Gonghao's fate. Of course, he had his clones. At most, he would lose one. Yet, to have one of his clones eliminated so soon was somewhat embarrassing and quite a significant loss. Just as they pondered this, Nan Gonghao burst forth from the corrosive cloud. He was utterly unconcerned by the corrosive forces, forcefully breaking free. After all, this power was too weak. He had over 100 methods to resist it. He emerged from the corrosion, his fist connecting with the heavens, infused with a raging force as he struck. Bang! The malevolent being was reduced to a pulp by the blow. Naturally, its internal vitality had long been consumed. Nan Gonghao still did not gain any significant power from this encounter. This left him feeling somewhat cheated, as the malevolent energy was not absorbable. While Nan Gonghao lamented this, the multitude of beings around him exhibited two distinctly different attitudes. One group was astonished that such a powerful malevolent being had been so easily dispatched. Indeed, Nan Gonghao was formidable. The other group, however, was perplexed. They recognized Nan Gonghao's strength, yet could not fathom why he would engage such a seemingly ordinary malevolent entity. Even the scholars were puzzled. Did Nan Gonghao's vision of the Bianhua and the call of death stem from that creature? Nan Gonghao stood calmly, awaiting the next development. Moments later, the recently vanquished malevolent being reappeared, this time accompanied by another. Upon witnessing this, the crowd took little notice, assuming that one had summoned the other after the demise of its kin. However, Nan Gonghao gazed at the two malevolent beings and chuckled softly. So that is why they have fixated on me. It is the Tao of replication. At this revelation, the surrounding crowd erupted in commotion. The Tao of replication, the enigmatic force that had left even the seven supreme powers in awe. To think it was present here, under the control of malevolent beings. Many souls felt a stir of ambition. After all, they had all witnessed Nan Gonghao's might. Who would not desire such formidable strength? Thus, with greed in their eyes, they fixed their gaze upon the two malevolent beings. Yet, Nan Gonghao remained still, as someone bellowed, "Brother Nan Gong, I shall assist you in vanquishing these fiends. I too shall join. They were all of the human race, and should support one another." Indeed, a throng of individuals surged forward, greedily attacking the two malevolent entities. However, from a distance, Shui Wanwan of the Ying and Zong looked on with disdain. These fools do not even realize they are being manipulated by Nan Gonghao. Those around her nodded in agreement. They were well aware that Nan Gonghao had no altruistic intentions in revealing the existence of the Tao of replication among these malevolent beings. Clearly, he intended to exploit these individuals to combat the fiends. Of course, those who acted were not necessarily foolish. They could not be oblivious to the truth. They were merely unable to suppress their greedy hearts. As the saying goes, fortune favors the bold. What if they could seize an opportunity? While the crowd engaged in battle, Nan Gonghao remained motionless, employing the Tianyan Tong to survey his surroundings, seeking the hidden figure behind the scenes. Regrettably, he could not locate them. The individual was well concealed, entirely eluding detection. Just as Nan Gonghao contemplated this, he suddenly sensed a peculiar fluctuation. Was that chaos? He recalled his earlier chaos energy and shouted, "Shatter!" A violent force erupted, shattering the surrounding space. The realm of inheritance could not utilize the Tao of time or the Tao of space, for it was unstable and could rupture the fabric of reality, creating countless black holes that would endanger all. At this moment, Nan Gonghao had no choice but to enter the chaos and emerge from the other side. Where he had just stood, a phantom figure materialized. The figure gazed at Nan Gonghao with regret. To think there exists such a formidable being in the Guangyuan Tianyu. Would you be willing to join us? The crowd trembled at these words. An entity from the outer realms? Kill, commanded a leader from a powerful faction. Instantly, 7 divine-level sages struck fiercely. Crack! The very fabric of the heavens shattered again, revealing a black hole. The faint figure was instantly obliterated, yet its voice lingered considerate. If you agree, I will come to collect you. Do not concern yourself with the Tianzu. They're insignificant. This proclamation sent a tremor through the hearts of all present. They had battled against the beings of the outer realms for many years and were well acquainted with their nature. The Tianzu is an immensely powerful faction that has previously slaughtered countless formidable beings in the Guangyuan Tianyu. Even the mightiest forces remain vigilant in its presence. Yet, in the mouth of that individual, the Tianzu seems rather inconsequential. Is this merely a tactic to intimidate the beings of Guangyuan Tianyu? Or do they truly regard it with such disdain? Nevertheless, the pressing concern remains with Nan Gonghao. It is undeniable that Nan Gonghao is a fearsome entity. Should he truly succumb to the enticements of beings from the outer realms, it could spell a catastrophic disaster for Guang Yuan Tianyu. The crowd turned their gaze toward Nangong Hao at the Shui Gong. However, Nangong Hao merely furrowed his brow and remarked, "It is the Tao of mirrors. He has mirrored all of my abilities." The crowd reacted with a start. Yet, one individual pressed on, "Nangong Hao, do not evade the question. How do you respond to the overtures from the outer realm? Will you not emulate the Shengma sect and make a solemn vow?" This statement garnered nods of agreement from the assembled beings. Indeed, it ought to be thus. The Shengma sect declared their innocence with their lives, and now, under suspicion, Nangong Hao too must affirm his integrity with a similar declaration. This would confine him within the land of inheritance, rendering him unable to seek refuge with the outer realm beings. For the beings of Guang Yuan Tianyu, it would be a momentous occasion indeed. Chapter 317. The Collapse of Space. Do you think I fear? Upon hearing the demand for a vow of life or death, Nangong Hao scarcely acknowledged these individuals. The Shengma sect is targeted by all beings, having reached a dead end. Yet, when has Nangong Hao not been under scrutiny? A rabble. Those without capability ought not to imitate me. Nangong Hao indifferently cast aside a remark and continued onward. At this, the beings who had just pressured him turned pale with anger, with several approaching menacingly. They encircled the members of the 10th team of the Shui Gong. Observing this, Zhou Yan's expression turned frigid. "Are you all attempting to bully the weak?" "Humph. The Shui Gong is renowned for its emphasis on reason. Are you now favoring Nangong Hao? He has been openly courted by beings from the outer realm. Who knows whether he might defect?" A voice boomed. Other beings nodded in agreement. The 6 supreme entities stood at a distance, watching the unfolding drama, eager to see how Nangong Hao and the Shui Gong would resolve this. Zhou Yan could not help but glance at Nangong Hao and conveyed telepathically, "Do you have a plan? If not, we shall force our way through." The Shui Gong cannot allow Nangong Hao to be humiliated. Otherwise, what face would they have left? Nangong Hao pondered briefly, then looked toward those who had been the most vociferous. With a swift motion, his clone appeared behind them, unleashing a tempestuous surge of Taoist power. "This is dire. You are attacking from behind." One caught unawares cried out in agony as he was grievously injured. Subsequently, Nangong Hao wielded a long sword forged from the Tao of the sword, slicing through the body of that individual, who perished instantly. Simultaneously, several others met a similar fate at the hands of the clone. The corpses were discarded together as Nangong Hao calmly stated, "I cherish peace. Hence I established the peaceful family. I hope all of you can adhere to my wishes and embrace tranquility." Upon hearing this, many beings felt a tremor in their hearts. They understood the implication of Nangong Hao's words. He favored peace, thus they too must seek peace. Should they fail to do so, he would force them into it. A black-faced tiger of the Tao level roared, "Can the Shui Gong kill with impunity? Clearly, you were at fault first." Nangong Hao ignored the black-faced tiger entirely. Forging ahead with the members of the Shui Gong, the black-faced tiger, feeling slighted, obstructed his path in anger. "You!" Boom! The space above the black-faced tiger exploded. A massive black hole emerged, pulling it in along with several nearby beings, who screamed as they were engulfed in boundless chaos. The crowd was taken aback, their expressions shifting dramatically. "Nangong Hao, do you not realize that one cannot wield the power of time and space here? Otherwise, everyone will face dire consequences. Indeed, this included you. Do you not fear being consumed by the black hole?" The beings were in a state of panic, shouting in protest. Nangong Hao regarded them coldly and replied, "Get lost. You are audacious." A general of a kingdom radiating the power of a divine-level sage roared in fury. He refused to yield, even advancing. He sought to witness whether Nangong Hao dared to wield the power of space above the Shui Gong members. Nangong Hao, observing the general, charged forward swiftly, activating his spatial power. This space was exceedingly fragile. Utilizing merely a tenth of his strength, the space collapsed over a large area. As chaotic energy surged in, crushing numerous beings, the kingdom's general was startled, hastily employing divine domain energy to resist. Yet, Nangong Hao merely intensified his power, exacerbating the spatial collapse. In mere moments, the space within a several-mile radius collapsed, sending many beings fleeing in terror. Even the members of the Shui Gong were no exception. The kingdom's general bellowed frantically, "Nangong Hao, have you lost your mind? You will die too." Chaotic energy surged in, striking the kingdom's general. Despite the divine domain's protection, he spat blood and suffered significant injury. His strength was formidable, or he would have perished long ago. The chaotic energy also descended upon Nangong Hao. However, He melded into the chaos, remaining entirely unscathed. Observing this, the onlookers gasped in astonishment. How could a six-star sage remain unafraid of chaotic energy? Even divine-level sages would be severely injured by it. Only those at the level of Wu could withstand such power, it seemed. At this moment, the beings finally comprehended why Nan Gonghao acted with such reckless abandon. This fellow could likely survive even the destruction of this land of inheritance. Given Nan Gonghao's audacious temperament, should the beings offend him further, he might genuinely obliterate this place. Nan Gonghao, I shall not hold you accountable any longer. What say you? The kingdom's general exclaimed in haste. He had directly conceded. Yet, Nan Gonghao did not relent, continuing to dismantle the space. The kingdom's general, relying on the power of his divine domain, fled in disarray. No matter where he attempted to escape, the beings in that area would scatter. Do not bully me excessively. Do you believe I will perish with you? The kingdom's general, cornered, was losing face. However, Nan Gonghao remained unwavering, relentlessly pursuing him. Very well, if death is inevitable, let us die together. The kingdom's general, in despair, unleashed his full power to attempt to slay Nan Gonghao. Yet at that moment, Nan Gonghao stepped into the chaos. In the next instant, he appeared behind the kingdom's general, ruthlessly shattering the space. Ultimately, within a 10-mile radius, all space collapsed. The beings could see the surging chaotic energy from beyond, a sight truly terrifying. Enter, and it shall be your grave. Nan Gonghao calmly retreated. He, embodying chaos, could effortlessly counter the chaotic energy, gliding through the collapsing spatial boundaries with ease. The kingdom's general, however, shrieked in terror, "No! Save me! Whoever can rescue me! I will offer all my treasures." But no one responded. No one wavered, nor offered assistance. The kingdom's general was consumed by the chaotic energy, vanishing without a trace. Nan Gonghao returned to the ranks of the Shui Gong, stating coolly, "Let us depart." The members of the Shui Gong cast wary glances at Nan Gonghao. Other beings trembled in fear. This individual was exceedingly ruthless, willing to obliterate an entire expanse of space to eliminate a divine-level sage. Moreover, he emerged completely unharmed. In this land of inheritance, the use of time and space power should have limited his strength. Yet, who could have anticipated that Nan Gonghao would thrive here? It seemed now that even divine-level sages could not harm him in the slightest. Unless, of course, they resorted to ambush. However, to ambush a six-star sage? Even if the one who launched the sneak attack was Nan Gonghao, this incident would only serve to enhance his reputation. While the divine-grade sage Wang, he would be the subject of ridicule. The Xuekong team marched forward with determination. Those who sought to compel Nan Gonghao to swear an oath, as well as those pressuring the members of the academy, all hurriedly retreated, fully aware of their inability to provoke him. Chapter 3:18 Successful Check-In. The path of reincarnation in hand, the individuals from Jixia Xuekong advanced resolutely, while the six most powerful figures in the distance regarded Nan Gonghao with varying expressions. Shui Wanwan, however, gazed at Nan Gonghao with admiration, pondering whether he might be the man Shui Yao could never forget. If my partner were as formidable, I too would hold him in everlasting remembrance. The disciples from Yingnu Zone, overhearing her words, felt a tremor of apprehension. Could it be that the senior sister had taken a liking to Nan Gonghao? This could not happen. The Yingnu Zone could not afford to lose another member to infatuation. Amidst the mist, the beings continued onward, facing incessant calls from demons or disruptions. The number of beings dwindled, yet due to the influx into the land of inheritance, countless creatures remained, despite being scattered and slain. The location of the Reincarnation Palace had long been discerned. The crowd swiftly approached, some unfazed due to prior visits, while newcomers were awestruck by the sight before them. Ahead stood a colossal palace, slanting into the ground, with 2/3 submerged, leaving only the edges exposed. This spectacle led many to believe in the legend of the Demon Valley's origin. The Reincarnation Palace had indeed descended from the heavens, creating this vast pit, with half of it buried underground. Witnessing the mere edges of the palace's foundation visible above ground, the beings could not help but reflect on the might of such a powerful force, which had ultimately fallen. This was a testament to the ferocity of the battles that had taken place in the past. Would such a cataclysmic conflict arise again? One could only wonder how many of the current top powers would remain. As they contemplated this, the beings sighed. Before the Reincarnation Palace, 6 paramount forces stood. The Qianji Pavilion had no representatives, while the Jixia Xuekong was present. The Invincible Dynasty had sent Wang Yueho, an equal to Ziguan Ho, a formidable divine sage. He was accompanied by a group of elites, including the prodigious Shangguan Xinghe, whose father was one of the 8 Pillar Nations. Endowed with substantial resources and remarkable talent, now a sage of the inquiry level. However, Shangguan Xinghe bore little animosity toward Nangong Hao, having not troubled him during their journey. Being Nuzong was represented by several elders, alongside Shui Wanwan and others. The Jianzong sent a swordsman from the 17 Peaks, a formidable individual. Surprisingly, no one from the Holy Demon sect had arrived, the reason for which remained unclear. The War God Palace also sent forth a young prodigy, who regarded Nangong Hao with indifference. Yin Wushuang and others had remained hidden within the Dragon Emperor Palace. Thus the War God Palace had no intentions of approaching. The Kuodao Min was represented by a solitary youth clad in white, a curious sight. As for other first-rate forces, there were many. Nangong Hao paid little heed to these figures, for he had long since ceased to regard first-rate powers with any seriousness. Esteemed colleagues, the Reincarnation Palace is fraught with peril, and beings from the outer realms are bound to infiltrate. Therefore, prior to reaching the core area, I propose we cooperate sincerely. Zhou Yin stepped forward, addressing the assembly with a resonant voice. As one of the Academy's disciples, he was undoubtedly qualified to voice such sentiments, given the Academy's long-standing neutrality. The various factions exchanged glances, willing to place their trust in the Academy. Just then, the young swordsman from the Jianzong proclaimed, "We agree, but what of Nangong Hao?" The gathered beings turned their attention to Nangong Hao, eager to ascertain whether he would cause any disruption. Zhou Yin, exasperated, implored Nangong Hao, "Patroller, please express your stance." "Rest assured, I will not cause any turmoil," Nangong Hao replied with an air of nonchalance. "That alone may not suffice. You must also swear an oath. Simply vow not to resort to any underhanded methods in your pursuit of the inheritance." The swordsman regarded Nangong Hao from a position of superiority, as if issuing a command. Yet, the other beings rallied in support, for if Nangong Hao were to instigate another spatial collapse as before, who could withstand such chaos? Nangong Hao cast a cold gaze at the swordsman. "Do you wish to prevent me from utilizing the 2 paths of time and space?" The swordsman scoffed. "What other means do you possess besides those 2 paths?" "Very well, I shall refrain from using those 2 paths, and you shall not wield your sword." "How does that sound?" Nangong Hao retorted with sarcasm. The swordsman's expression shifted. Having dedicated over a decade to mastering the sword, being barred from using it was tantamount to rendering him powerless. However, the surrounding beings reveled in the spectacle, some intentionally stirring the pot. Surely the Jianzong possesses other top-notch techniques. Without a sword, they can still triumph over Nangong Hao, right? Indeed, it's merely a matter of not using a sword. Without the 2 paths of time and space, Nangong Hao's strength is considerably diminished. Agreed, swordsman. Grant him this concession. Yes, agree to it. Let us see how he behaves when deprived of the path of time and space. The crowd's intentions were clear. By denying Nangong Hao the use of the time and space paths, his power would be significantly weakened. Likewise, the swordsman would also be unable to wield his sword, thus diminishing the strength of both prodigies and amplifying the opportunity for others to seize the inheritance. Originally, the swordsman had aimed to target Nangong Hao in revenge for the fallen Chu Xiaoyuan. Yet now he found himself ensnared in a predicament. An elder from the Jianzong solemnly declared, "No need to engage. Let's depart." Without the ability to use swords, how could the Jianzong members fight? The swordsman, too, wished to leave, but was met with a chorus of derision from behind, many beings casting disdainful glances at him. Swordsmen were known for their prideful nature, and as a swordsman of high standing, he could hardly endure such humiliation. "Very well, I shall forego the sword." The swordsman bellowed at Nangong Hao. "Swear your deadly oath." Nangong Hao shrugged, and alongside the swordsman, publicly vowed. Within the Reincarnation Palace, one would not utilize the path of time and space, while the other would refrain from employing the power of the sword. The beings present could not help but display their delight at this turn of events. However, the expressions of those from the Jianzong and Jixia Xuekong turned grim. Regardless of the circumstances, entering the Reincarnation Palace was imperative. Due to a violent impact, a fissure had already appeared in the palace's grand entrance, allowing entry at any moment. The beings formed a line, entering in an orderly fashion. The interior of the Reincarnation Palace was equipped with spatial formations capable of accommodating billions, ensuring that upon entry, the crowd did not feel cramped. Others seized the opportunity to survey their surroundings, eager to witness the legendary Reincarnation Palace and possibly discover some treasures. Only Nangong Hao focused on his system, recalling that the check-in location mentioned previously was indeed this Reincarnation Palace. He promptly whispered, "System, check-in." Ding. Check-in successful. Congratulations on receiving the reward. The path of reincarnation. The mechanical voice of the system echoed. Nangong Hao had anticipated that check-ins could yield any form of power. Yet he had never expected to directly acquire the path of reincarnation upon entry. He could not help but feel a twinge of sympathy for the beings around him. They were undoubtedly preoccupied with thoughts of how to obtain the ultimate path of reincarnation, unaware that Nangong Hao had already secured it in advance. Particularly, the swordsman was truly unfortunate, having traded his ability to wield a sword to ensure